Welcome to CW Football Saturday, presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And we're at Gessa Field in Pullman, Washington. Winter's trying to barge its way into fall here. It is Saturday night, live in Pullman. Ryan Leaf will be going to Nigel Burton in a moment. Big story this week, CFP's first new 12-team playoff rankings out. Quick look at the bracket. Cougs aren't in it, but the Cougs conversation.
Cougs are in the conversation. I told you at the year that they would be playing games in November. One of them is meaningful because guess what? Right now, two of those teams already top four are already out after losses today. It's going to be chaos the rest of the way full. All the Cougs need to do, just keep winning.
Washington State has arrived and made this a meaningful November. Only lost to Boise State. Key person in this drive has been John Mateer.
Oh gosh, he's been so much fun. You and I had him in week one. We didn't know what quite to think of him. Well, he's been the answer. Ben Arbuckle, offensive coordinator, when he talked to us this week, he said, it's easy when your best football player is the one that handles the ball every single snap. That's the reason they've been able to come back in games just like this one against San Diego State. Down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. The big man wearing number 10 gets it done and gets him back into the winning circle. Excited for him tonight against this Utah State team.
That was the third game the Cougs have won this year in which they've trailed in the fourth quarter. You see 28 touchdowns Mateer's responsible for. So all of that is a huge challenge for a Utah State defense tonight. So who else do we ask about? D, come on in, Nigel Burton.
Appreciate it, Ted. Well, the Washington State defense is going to have a unique challenge themselves because I tell you what, they're going to face a Utah State offense that also is very unique. When you take a look at them on film, notice offense has their wide receiver out extremely wide, very unusual, creating one-on-one situations and in the case, 2-on-2s. And the man who stirs the drink is this Rasul Faison. My man can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He's got patience as a runner. He's explosive and he has power. He will create a unique issue for this Washington State offense if they cannot contain him tonight, Ted. Ryan?
All right, so here we go. Washington State will kick off. You see the Cougs on this Saturday night donning almost all crimson. There'll be a little bit of gray in there somewhere.
Anthracite, it's called.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't even know what that means.
And here's the other quarterback, and this is a fascinating story himself. Spencer Petras, 1 year at Utah State. He started an awful lot of games in the Big Ten playing at Iowa. And after an injured season last year, transferred to play his last year of eligibility at Utah State. He is a passer. He has put up good numbers. He has great pedigree. He's from Marin Catholic High School, just north of San Francisco, as immediately swings one out in the flat to Carice White. And as Nigel pointed out, Rasul Faison, one of your impact players.
Yeah, these are the two impact players for me. The running back on one side, and that means the defensive tackle on the other trying to make the stop at David Gusta.
And the other part of the Utah State offense that we'll see, they are an up-tempo team. Everybody talked about it all week here in the Cougar staff.
Fourth fastest in the country.
76 plays a game is their average. And the first 2 plays netted them a first down. And the Cougs already switching their defensive front. 4 in, 4 out. Now, Utah State has had a rough year in a lot of fronts. Petras' offensive numbers have been a highlight as he fires here to Otto Tia out of bounds, but they are missing an awful lot of players, and key player missing on the offensive side, Jalen Royals, who has been by far their best receiver.
Oh, by far. Are you kidding me, Ted? 55 receptions, 834 yards, and 6 touchdowns he's accounted for so far this season.
But you see all those numbers where they stand. There's a throw that's behind the other key receiver they're missing. That's Josh Sturzer, who's filling in Brock Lane. Very good tight end, also out for the year for the Aggies.
Yeah, they've just been banged up. On the defensive side, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but they've got, I think, 9 guys that were on the 2 deep that are out. And they've had to find and replace. But I'm telling you what, they've played incredibly tough and competitive the last few weeks. There hasn't been any quit in them.
All right, it's all throwing so far. And boy, Petras, there's what the Utah State coaches discussed, as you see Kapana-Gushigan with the good defensive play. But they talk about his arm strength. That's across the field, Ryan.
Yeah, he doesn't lack for that. I don't know if I necessarily like what they did in this first drive, throwing the ball on every single down unless they don't feel comfortable with the offensive line. But using Rasul Faison would be the way I'd want to go to try to put some pressure on the defense.
All right, so Utah State will punt the ball. Stephen Kotzenle with the punt. Tony Freeman lets it bounce, and it touches a Utah State player in the vicinity of the 30-yard line. And so in this matchup that will be a Pac-12 conference game in 2 years' time when Utah State joins the league, here comes John Mateer with this magnificent year. Think about this. We were here opening day, Brian. He had never started a game in college. This is his 9th start, and he's already entered into some pretty national conversations.
Yeah, he definitely has. And these last 2 weeks, almost 80% completions, over 600 yards, the 9 touchdowns and no turnovers. The no interceptions has been huge as a leader of this team to bring him back in games, both against Fresno State and against San Diego State on the road to get those victories.
Wayshawn Parker starts in the backfield alongside Mateer. It's Cooper Mathers motioning the block as they tried a quick throw to Kyle Williams, but pass is incomplete. Impact players now in this matchup.
Yeah, we got to talk about Keon Stone on the defensive end. He leads the team in sacks. He has to get pressure on John Mateer, and clearly the guy that, you know, does everything for this Cougar team. He could probably play defense and be a big part of it too, but he is the impact player on offense right now for Washington State.
All right, the Aggies bring 4. Mateer going to move outside, then gun it on the run and complete it, which will give them a short 3rd down on a pass to Carlos Hernandez.
Now, when Mateer takes his drop here, he's got a chance, but they can jump and do a really good job of getting on their bodies. And as he rolls out to his right, Hernandez keeps leaking towards the out-of-bounds line, and he puts it perfectly on him to make up, like you said, Ted, a very manageable 3rd down here on their first drive.
And both teams changing. Kyle Williams to the bottom as we show you the wide shot there to the bottom. That's where Mateer's looking. That's where he's going to throw it to Mathers, who come underneath. And Cooper Mathers, who has become a more important receiver out of the tight end position in the second half of the season, crosses midfield.
He's been very, very efficient. When the ball's been thrown to him, he's caught the football. And there, another first down on a catch by him.
Now the run with Parker, and Parker busts off the right side. Bouncing off hits, and a first down gain inside the 40.
We've been waiting for Wayshawn Parker to take a hold. He does a good job of finding the hole and being physical at the point of attack. Took about 3 or 4 Aggies to get him to the ground.
Now the Cougs also going quick. Utah State only had 3 down. A light box look. Parker runs inside the 30 before Jordan Vincent tackles out of the Utah State secondary.
You know, talking to Ben Arbuckle, this is just a lead almost with a pulling guard. Wayshawn lets him get in front of him and just follows the big fella for another big first down. Ooh, that was close.
And this time Parker is tripped up, doesn't get much, breaking past the line, and that's a very important first play. Wearing number 50 in white for Utah State is Lawrence Valetea, who is a player tonight that Utah State's coaches all told us during the week will be playing with a chip on his shoulder. There he is, because he played here for the Cougs, and he had a torn ACL, knocked him out last year, decided to move on to Utah State, and was so anxious, all the coaches said, about having this chance to play back in Pullman tonight. And now there's a good spin, good run after the catch by Leo Pulalasi, and he is close to the line to gain inside the 20.
You talked about Falalata, and he took over 300 plus snaps in 2022 here. So, I mean, there's a significant amount of time as a Cougar that he played. So his coaches did, like you said, they tried to kind of get that chip a little bit bigger all week long and fired up and ready to play against his former team.
All right, Pulalasi continues as the running back to the left of Mateer. Off the play action, that's for the end zone, just misses Carlos Hernandez. Took a shot to the end zone. All right, welcome everybody joining us on CW for this Saturday night. live in Pullman, Washington. And the end of what has been a long, great day of sports on CW. 2 football games early, NASCAR, and now here we are with the ranked Washington State Cougars, ranked in the polls, ranked in the CFP playoff ranking, and a chance here to get the first score against Utah State. 4th down here. It is 4th. And a quick throw to Williams, who breaks a tackle, and he'll go in the end zone. Touchdown, Cougars. So the Cougs go for it on 4th down, which lives right up to Jake Dickert's persona. And the gamble, and how much of a gamble it is, I don't know, Ryan. What do you think?
Well, analytically, you know, they've done it all year long, and this was a little iffy. They went straight man coverage, and they have him behind the line of scrimmage, but the strength of Kyle Williams breaks away from the tackle and saunters into the end zone. He's their best skill position player outside of John Mateer, and getting him the rock target-wise is imperative all game long if they want to continue to be successful.
And that has been the story. Their offense, the Cougar offense on this field has been terrific. In their first possession, they go right down the field. The 29th touchdown John Mateer has been responsible for. You see it from up cam as he hits Kyle Williams for the score. For those of you watching Pac-12 football on News Nation, after the break, stay tuned for News Nation Prime. You're watching CW Football Saturday, and it's brought to you by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99 with a new garlic herb sauce. And Fresh Pet. It's not dog food, it's food. And that is part of a football weekend in the Palouse. We walked by a bunch of those tailgates last night when they were already setting up and starting to grill their meats. It's a wonderful football atmosphere here. That's where the game has started. Utah State 1 first down on its opening possession and a punt. And the Cougs in 9 plays score a touchdown. 6th touchdown catch for Kyle Williams this year. Both teams, by the way, coming off a bye, so that are an equal footing there. And Utah State won 2 weeks ago, only their 2nd win of the season, and they did it by a last-minute drive to kick a field goal and win at Wyoming.
They've like I said, there hasn't been any quit in them. For all the things that we're going to discuss and all of the things that we've seen from when the started in the summer to the injuries and everything, they've absolutely played their hearts out the last few weeks, taking them down to the wire. They've been led by Spencer Petras, who's just been outstanding over the last 2.5, 3 games. But they need to run the ball. Rasul Faison has to be a part of this on their 2nd drive.
And there he is, so their top running back. And that's freshman Herschel Turner, who's actually in the game on the 2nd series. First-year player from the Bay Area, Richmond, California, Herschel Turner, a guy that they're very impressed with as the 2nd behind Faison. And now with all the time, and eventually wide open receiver will get a big gain. And wow, that was a last-second drop by Ethan O'Connor.
Well, that's a big tackle.
Yes, it was, because Josh Sturzer was going to run a long way if he did.
Yeah, he just gets lost in the shuffle here, and Petras doesn't see him till late. And when he finally gets the ball to him, if Ethan O'Connor doesn't make that play in space, he could be gone.
And up the middle, with a good gain goes Turner. Well, this is what the Cougs are well aware of, Ryan, and they knew this, that Utah State's banged up. They really have not had a good defensive year at all, but their offense has worked.
Their offense has worked. They've been very explosive. They lose their best wide receiver, as we talked about, in Royals. They're going to have to be patient, but be physical up front and try to move this defensive line off their spots.
There's good run defense, although it is just enough on Turner's run to get Utah State a first down. Keith Brown on the first hit for the Cougars.
Most of their games this year have been in shootouts. The game against Wyoming, they brought it back a little accordion style, more towards the middle. Washington State's defense this year, not great, right? 124th against the pass. 86th in scoring and 77th in the rushing side of it for a total of 115th out of, 132 teams in the FBS level.
Wow, look at that good play. Well, that's the old play where you try to block, but Stephen Hall fought through that block and blew up the play for a loss.
You know, both teams have tried this, and both teams have been very successful of disrupting it. Yeah. They've seen it a lot in practice, and clearly Stephen Hall, right there, they just platooned in like a whole new defense, too. You saw that.
Yeah, Jeff Schmedding is doing that. This is something during October when we were here, Jake Dickert referenced. He wanted to see more of this from the defense, to get more people in, and basically for each of his defenders say, you'll get more quality with less snaps. And Petrus comes to the near side again, and that's going to give them a decent third down shot on a pass to Jack Hestera.
You know, the thing about Petrus is, from a quarterback's optics, he's maybe one of the most fluid passers out there. It's just so nonchalant how the ball comes out of his hand. Tall, very fundamental, very technically sound. Kind of jealous, to be honest with you, watching the play.
Oh, stop. Well, we're going to expose you on that front later. Hang in there, everybody. And look, Petrus is used to big-time football. Again, the guy played in Iowa, was a starting quarterback in the Big Ten. And not mobile. That's not his game, but they love the arm. He's going to be mobile enough here to run for a first down. And then the head first dive, which means he should get a respectable spot. It's at the 33 of Washington State.
Yeah, just as you pointed out, not very mobile. Mobile enough, exactly, to the point. And he got enough there. He steps up. There's nobody that is accounting for the quarterback there in the man coverage. All the way underneath with two safeties on top, and he picks up the first down and extends the drive.
And now the Aggies go to a bunch formation with the exception of Otto Tia to the bottom. And Petrus gives the ball to Turner, and Turner runs a stretch to the left and bangs it down inside the 30.
Good call there, Ted. It is a stretch play, all it is, and the offensive linemen are just trying to reach there, extend the gaps out to the left, and Turner does a great job of just staying patient, and as soon as he finds that hole, he puts his foot on the ground and goes through.
That's what you say, a one-cut runner, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Petrus take a shot, has his man. It's Hestera, wide open, and he's down inside the 5.
This is a great play design. Hides him. This is going to be a good look from our ace ump cam. Watch Petrus. He just is able to follow him. Hides him behind the play fake and then puts the ball on the money.
That's a great route setup there. Kyle Cefalo, the offensive coordinator for Utah State.
Yeah, it was good. It just sent him down like he was almost making a crack block.
Yeah.
And he kind of got hidden behind the defensive lineman and then just skated free out to the outside. Man coverage on the perimeters. They didn't see him behind him. And then Petrus, he put it perfect. I mean, when you have a guy that wide open, sometimes it might be the most difficult throw to make. People think it's the easiest. It might be the hardest to put it right on somebody, and he did.
Well, now the 11th play of this drive, and the Aggies trying to match. They know they're going to need touchdowns against the Cougar offense. And Petrus will throw it out to the left, and he gets the touchdown to Jack Hestera. So the first Utah State touchdown for Jack Hestera, and the Aggies match the Cougars, drive the field.
Just straight man coverage, little pick play, just enough to get him, and it's a good enough throw. At least it's on the outside shoulder. If it would have been on the inside, tackle probably made. Good enough throw to the outside shoulder where he catches, falls into the end zone, and we have a tie ball game here if he can put it through.
Tanner Cragen is one of the two kickers, place kickers for Utah State. He'll handle the extra point. And so, yeah, offense has won the first 10 minutes of the game. Each team's had a field to drive for a score in Pullman. So this nice, cool Saturday night for football starts 7-7.
They got me mic'd up. I'm mic'd up. Hey, you watch that rash, baby? You watch that rash, baby? Give me one this week. Give me one today. Give me one today. What's good, man? What's good? How y'all doing? Y'all having fun? Oh, yeah, I like that. Both of y'all got the ones. Let's take a picture. Come on, let's take a picture. Perfect, man. Y'all having fun out here? Yeah? How you doing? Let's go! Let's go!
That's one of the good stories of college football. The ones you like in this era where so much is volatile. The Chris Hudson story is a good one. As we have Leighton Smithson on the run back here for the Cougars. Oh, and he almost turned the corner where he might have been able to have a substantial game, but Bronson Olival for Utah State brought him down. But Hudson...
Well, Chris Hudson asked for that, right? He asked for Smithson for a touchdown. Can I get one today?
Just to refresh the story, I mean, Chris Hudson played at Oregon.
Yep.
He was basically... His time at Oregon ran out, and he was out in the portal this spring. He comes to Washington State's attention. Jake Dickert called Dan Lanning and said, tell me about him. And Dan Lanning said, take him. Take a chance on him. And yesterday, Jake told us about Chris Hudson, how he's really tightened up his life, both with football and away from football, and how valuable he's been. He's the leading receiver right now for this ranked Cougar team. It's a really terrific story.
It is. You love when... And you understand who's speaking to you right now when adversity hits, right? How do you deal with it? Do you deal with it in a positive and healthy way or a negative and toxic one? And for all the mistakes you make, as long as you keep getting back up. And Chris Hudson is a perfect example of that. And it's great to see him in crimson and gray and having the season he's having for the Cougars this year.
All right, so the run play stuffed. And Schlembaker is now alongside Mateer on 2nd and 10. And Mateer's going to run it himself. And he's going to get close to, very close to the line to gain. That's what amazes me about Mateer this year, Brian, is that the amount he's run, and he has not gone down very much.
No, he's taken contact. He's been physical. It's a part of who he is. You know, it's a bit of his swagger, and his teammates love it. And he continues to bring that. Picks up the first down there because of his physicality.
That's amazing. He went for the stick, and he got the call first down. John Mateer is not a quarterback running. When he tucks that ball, he's a runner.
Oh, he is. He becomes their best running back, too.
And he is the leading rusher yardage-wise for the Cougs this year. This is Javensky Schlembaker on the carry. That's a first down pickup of almost 6. And there you see the numbers. They have 1,000 yards combined between Mateer and Parker. And that was, back from day one last spring. That was Jake Dickert's mantra this year, is he wanted to establish a run game for the Cougs.
And I got to give Ben Arbuckle some credit. You know, he wants to throw the ball down the field. Don't get me wrong. He wants to be explosive down the field, but he gets it. He understands his offensive line are physical and they're quick. They can get out and go make plays. And the ball's thrown within the line of scrimmage most of the time because that's the type of playmakers that he has. And when you have 3rd and 1s and things like that, you either run it with John Mateer or you throw it out real quick.
So here you go, and there's Mateer on the keeper. And again, there's what I'm talking about. Like, you see Mateer, he has the first down. He could safely slide, but no, he's going to go in there. And what's amazing, Ryan, all these hits, he's popped up every time.
Well, there's something to it. When you become uncomfortable doing things that you're not used to, sliding for him would just seem foreign. And maybe you would do something different and maybe hurt yourself. I was the same way. I never slid once.
And when I came up here in August, before the season started, and they were doing the fall practice, and I asked John, and they said, yeah, they brought the slide sheet out that a lot of teams use now, and they were trying to work with him on teaching him the proper ways to slide, to knowing, hey, you're going to be QB1, we need you out there.
Well, when you squat 700 pounds, you have the leg strength to do that. I think the first game we called, he was squatting 500.
Yeah.
700 now when you're ranked 20th in the country.
He is first team all quads, that's for sure. And Mateer comes back, and that ball batted down. He's trying to come back across the field, I believe, to Mathers. But anyway, ball was batted down, and that's Isaiah Bruce on the Utah State front.
Yeah, that was a good job by Bruce, because if he doesn't bat that down, you were right, Mathers was in the area, but I think he was really looking for...
was it Parker?
He was looking for Wayshawn Parker, who was wide open, kind of down. Almost a similar play that got Washington State on the defensive side by the Aggies on their last drive.
So now 3rd down. This is a longer third for the Cougs out of the empty set. Quick throw. And Meredith has got the 1st and more. Josh Meredith into Utah State territory.
This is just great scheme. I mean, you have a picket line of defenders, and they're about 10 yards off. So they give the ball to Meredith is back there, and he's just got blockers in front of him. He's got to make one guy miss and pick up the first down. Perfectly executed, well-timed, good decision by Mateer to do it. A lot of times, if he's hesitant back there at all, that's when that gets tripped up and falls short of a first down. Instead, the quarterback has been on point so far here in this first quarter.
All right, so first down now at the Utah State 43. Again, 5 wide. Oh, and a gamble. Instead, it is Washington State who wins it, and Carlos Hernandez has a first down inside the 20. That had all the look of a pick six, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And you know why it isn't? Watch where he puts this ball, the ball placement. If that ball's any bit on the inside, it is gone. But luckily, it goes to his outside shoulder. It almost looks like it goes through his hands even.
DJ Graham thought he had it.
You know what that's from, too? That's from a little extra velocity from that right arm of Mateer. Yeah, that had some spin on it now.
So here we are in the final minute of the quarter. And once again, off play action, but unable to keep his balance and stay in bounds. That's Trey Lechner on the catch. Andre Dollar, one of the tight ends for the Cougs, got banged up pretty well in San Diego State. He is out tonight. Billy Revere, you see him wearing 42, is back.
I like seeing tight ends back in the mix here at Wazoo.
Yes. Mateer looking for a spot, then eventually flips it ahead to Parker. He is near, and he is going to be marked out just shy of the goal line.
All this is triple option. It's just used with kind of a pulling guard. Mateer stays right behind him, and when the defender comes up to make the tackle, just dumps it over the top. What it does really take is the offensive line not going down the field. Great job.
And so the Washington State offense comes out ready to play tonight. One scoring drive already, and they'll start the second quarter in position to regain the lead. You're watching CW Football Saturday, and it's presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Saturday night in Pullman. Again, fall is banging on, or winter rather is banging on the door. You got to feel it in the air tonight, but still the students are here. A ranked Cougar team trying to regain the lead with Ryan Leaf, Nigel Burton, Ted Robinson here for our Saturday night football on CW. Cooper Mathers lined up as a fullback here. And on the 12th play of the drive for Washington State, Wayshawn Parker takes it in. And here's the ace Umpcam's view.
You know, for years we've sat and watched in the air raid with Mike Leach, and it was always fun football, but you could never really be physical up front. And I believe with Jake Dickert and Ben Arbuckle running this offense, the guys up front they're a different breed right now. They're physical, so when you get to 3rd and 1s or 1st and goals, they get low, they get pushed, and they get their guy in the end zone.
All right, Dean Janikowski, what a valuable player he has been for Washington State this year, although who knows if we'll find out tonight. We're told Nick Haber is back and available to punt. We'll see if the Cougs have to punt. Not yet. 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns. This Tuesday, NXT on the CW brings in the champions. NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez and 2-time NXT Champion Trick Williams are in the house. Don't miss an all-new NXT this Tuesday at 8, 7 Central, right here on the CW.
I might make a cameo.
You'd be a good.
Yeah. I think I'd be a good heel.
You know kayfabe, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I just learned something about Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
You don't know one of my broadcasting mentors was Mean Gene.
Oh, Mean Gene.
And I'm serious. Knew him well.
Great guy. I had those little, oh, one second.
And look at this. Can the Cougs steal one? Well, they say they did. And they do. So, Washington State steals a possession. How hard it's become in football to execute the onside kick at the end of a game. This may be the one way you can do it. It's unexpected.
Very unexpected. Both of us were talking about NXT wrestling and Mean Gene, and he does a great job. Watch him as he just kicks on the top of the football. It perfectly goes the distance, and they all surround it and make sure it goes 10 yards before they touch it.
There's so many parts of that. Janikowski, by the way, and I referenced what a great role he's had this year because, of course, he's had to punt all year as well as place kick. And look, he's the biggest kick of the year for the Cougs was his 52-yarder that
sent
the San Jose State game into overtime. And, of course, on that play, as you saw, perfectly kicked by Janikowski, but, of course, nobody can touch the ball and nobody can block by rule until the ball's gone 10 yards.
Did you notice how they all turned their backs?
Yep.
So there would never be any kind of distinction that they were blocking either. It was just,
exactly,
you know, blocking somebody out essentially. And great job by the Cougs to get another possession.
Yep. Nobody on the kick team, again, is allowed to block by rule until the ball has traveled 10 yards and is eligible to be recovered. So that's a rule that is probably pretty tough on officials to see in real time, especially if you're not expecting. And I'm wondering if we're going to get a challenge here. Nate Dreiling.
Utah State, they want to challenge whether the ball went 10 yards.
Wow.
And was
well, as rare as the second quarter onside kick is, here's an even rarer play in college football. This rule's been in place for a long time, and it's never used. Coaches in college football are given one challenge per game. They never use it.
You know why they never use it? It's because they looked at that play right there. The officials, the review crew looked at the play, and they decided it was fine. It was legal. Now to have it reviewed, all they're going to do is look at exactly what they just looked at. That's the biggest thing here.
And so what I don't know is the basis of the challenge. Can you challenge whether a block, and like, for example, there you see 43 for Washington State. Does he hit a player before the ball's gone 10 yards? I'm not sure if that's what can be reviewed. That's why we have Michael Mothershed with us as well for these sorts of explanations.
Ted and Ryan, I'm looking at this, and the key thing is, and you and Ryan were right on, the ball has to go at least 10 yards. And so the key thing here is that there is a block by one of the players, but the receiving team player is not in a passive posture. So he kind of blocks, trying to protect himself. So I don't see this being overturned at this point. And it looks like the ball has gone 10 yards. However, we don't have a camera that looks right down the receiving team, the restraining line.
So, Michael, help us all and help me understand. Now, can review whether the block was hit, which would be a penalty, right? And there was no penalty called on the play. Can review
there was no penalty called on the play. So replay can take a look at the block to see if the kicking team player blocked before they were eligible to touch the ball, which means that the ball hadn't gone 10 yards.
Okay.
And I look at number 14 on the receiving team.
Exactly.
He's not in a passive posture.
But he does initiate contact too. They both do. I mean, one guy
they both, and that's you said the key thing. They both are blocking.
Yeah.
And that's I don't see this being overturned.
And to my Michael, we don't see this often because it was reviewed essentially to make sure it went 10 yards. So that if they saw anything different, they probably would have made a decision beforehand if the review wasn't then asked by the Utah State head football coach. Is that why we don't see as any reviews from coaches in college football?
Well, I think replay has reviewed it, and they didn't see anything like an illegal block.
Right.
So, therefore, they didn't stop the game.
All right, we'll hear from John Love
After review, number 15 of the kicking team did block before the ball went 10 yards. That is an illegal block. Kicking team, number 15. It's a 5-yard penalty.
All right, so that answered the question I was asking Michael right there, is that they can look for that and therefore declare that basically an illegal kick and will be a re-kick here, I assume.
I don't think so. It'll be like just a penalty on, so wherever the ball was received, then a 5-yard penalty moving it forward. 15-yard, 10-yard penalty, maybe. All
right, so you're right. Utah State's offense is on the field. So that by Nate Dreiling, the interim head coach, the youngest. And this is bizarre because John Love, the referee, is standing back at the opposite end of the field. No one's quite sure because this is such an unusual sequence of events here in football. We just don't see this often. So look where the referee is. He's waiting for a kickoff.
So it'll be a procedure penalty.
It has to be a re-kick, right?
Move back 5 yards and re-kicked.
Yeah.
So not as costly for Washington State.
Right, exactly. And I thought I was really off base there, but no. But still, for Nate Dreiling, that's an outstanding use of this rarely used rule about challenging.
Well done.
Here's a guy, Nate Dreiling, who's an interim coach who just got the job at Utah State in July. It was the most unfortunate set of circumstances that we don't really have the time to dive into it here. But a young guy that took a great approach. He talked with us this week about it when he got the job. One of his first things to do, because he's in his early 30s, was talk to the players and say, what do you guys want? And he said it was important after everything this program had been through that the players felt they had a voice.
One of the things was a Gatorade machine in the locker room. Yep. So that's pretty doable.
So what looked to be a brilliant special teams play by Washington State is negated.
Do it again.
I like your thought. All right, Janikowski will kick it again from the 30-yard line. Herschel Turner and Kyrese White are both returners for Utah State. This will be White from the 2. And he crosses the 20 before he is brought down by who else? The leading tackler on the Cougar team, 6th-year linebacker, also on kick cover, Kyle Thornton.
I mean, doesn't that say enough about your captain, your best player on defense? He's also on kick cover, running down the field and making the tackle. That's a special young man right there.
All right, well, the Cougars thought they'd stolen a possession. Instead, it stays on track here. Washington State with 150 yards and 14 points out of their first 2 possessions. This is Utah State's 3rd, and they're trying to match the scores here with Faison on the carry, and he's able to pick his way for a play that didn't look like much, and he ends up getting 3.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Faison back in. He's been the leading rusher for the team this year. He's going to be big for him tonight if they're going to stay in this football game, because they have to establish that physical nature up front.
And off play action. Whoa, and he had a man for a big gain up the middle was Kahanu Davis. And that's just a miss.
It's just a little poorly thrown. Here's the ace up cam. He's got him split perfectly. He puts it on the back shoulder because he felt like he had to get it in there quickly, and it it's a good throw to be frankly honest with you. It's just a little awkward for a guy running down the middle of the field to have to turn, kind of like a back shoulder catch. Feet looked like they tangled up a little bit, and there he went.
Well, what a schemed play, though. You have a man that far open for what could have been a 30-plus yard play. Now we're going to have a timeout taken. This is a called timeout. Utah State. Petrus will come over to talk with Nate Dreiling and listen up to Kyle Cepolo, the OC, and find out what they want to do on the long 3rd down play. They understand they need to match points tonight. After Superman and Lex Luthor's first climactic fight, the people of Smallville are noticing some striking similarities between Superman and reporter Clark Kent. A new episode of Superman and Lois Monday at 8, 7 Central right here on the CW. And as we come back to play here for this third down play, we see a familiar face and quarterback to Pac-12 football fans. Bryson Barnes was at Utah, transferred to Utah State this year. And this is what he can do. This is the element he brings, and he just brought Utah State a first down with those legs.
Yeah, he's a really physical quarterback. He's got a lot of experience. How many players on this field can say they've had to come in the most stressful situations in 2 Rose Bowls to finish games for Cam Rising when he went out? He got starts in some of the biggest games. One of his biggest wins was beating USC.
Oh, absolutely. That's the one that,
He's got
put him and pig farming on the map, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
But, he's been used. He had to play a few games early in the year. Petrus was hurt, Bryson did, but they've used him really in those specialized situations because of his legs.
Yeah, he's going to be, he's got 1 year of eligibility left. Watching the expertise of Petrus and then coming back next year after finishing his Masters, staying in the state of Utah. I think this has been a good fit for Bryson Barnes.
All right, TFL, here comes a free runner. Petrus gets it away to gain a few yards. Pass to Herschel Turner, which will leave Utah State with a long third.
Felt like a lot of rhythm in that first quarter for both teams, just kind of rolling and rolling. We've had some spits and starts here.
All right, third and 10 again. Nope. Washington State was trying to get defenders, and they called a timeout.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Washington State. Their first of the half.
I don't believe Utah State subbed there, did they? So Washington State was liable, and they were trying to get Gusto off the field. Didn't get it off time. Didn't get him off on time. So it's a team timeout. Another halt here to the proceedings in the early second quarter. You're watching CW Football Saturday presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And the Cougar faithful, they're loud and proud, at least in the first half on this night. Low 40s for the temp. It's actually a really nice football night. No wind. That's the saving grace. And right now, Utah State has 3rd and 10. Kyrese White goes in motion. Petrus tries to dump it to Herschel Turner. Wasn't going to get a first down anyway. And the pass is incomplete. And so we'll get the second punt of the evening for the Aggies. That's Ansel Dinboo, who is, man, has he been a huge lift the last 2 weeks. The 2 games prior to the bye for Washington State. 4.5 sacks in those 2 games.
Yeah, Parker McKenna untouched towards the quarterback, making Petrus have to get rid of it before he wanted to. Great job by the defense.
And Utah State punts the low line drive skip, takes 2 hops, and then Freeman does the most important thing when you're back there to punt, catch the ball. He knows that very well, and he does so. All right, so we'll have the Cougar offense back on the field in a moment. Looking for a cable news network which respects all Americas? Then you have a new home with News Nation. See why News Nation is America's fastest growing cable news network. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com. All right, in Pullman, this game has hit an absolute brick wall in terms of flow, so now that's the challenge for players, is to try to regain some momentum as the Cougs get going on their 3rd possession. Rashawn Parker had a nice opening hole there, and he winds up taking it close to the line to gain. Jordan Vincent on the tackle.
Just a little zone, and he does a great job of letting the flow, and then as they over-pursue on the defensive side, he cuts back against the grain and picks up a nice 9-yard tick there to bring in a 2nd and 1. I'd love to see him take a shot down the field. It's a little play action here or something.
Doesn't everybody that's had a game controller in their hand thinks that on 2nd and 1, right?
I do.
Take a shot. And the tier is going to throw it short, let some guys block and get a first down throw to the team barber. Brandon Ganesha-Morthy. Ben Arbuckle told us yesterday that Brandon not only gave him a haircut, he's the team barber, the barber of Monroe, Washington.
I should know that next time I'm here if I need a little clip.
And also highlights that it's a pretty deep receiving core.
Yes.
Parker gets 5. Kyle Williams, of course, gets the attention because he's an accomplished guy for a bunch of years now. But that's the nice point for the Cougs pass game this year is they've had 8, 9 different receivers they can trust.
And that's usually the case. I mean, it's been as far back as I can remember. Even when I was here, we had 5 guys that were very capable of catching the football, and it's only gotten deeper in the Mike Leach era and in the Ben Arbuckle era here on the offensive side. They have a lot of playmakers they can go to.
All right, going to flip it on an end around. Williams coming this way. And Kyle Williams crosses the 50 before he's dropped. First down gain. Jaden Pearson on the Utah State tackle. 8 yards on the run.
So Ben Arbuckle and I have been chatting all season long, right? He goes back to the West Texas Panhandle where I coached a little football, and I've been very adamant that number 2 needs to see the rock a lot, and he is starting to get a little targets in any way they can. Great job there on the reverse.
Pulolassi on the carry. And you gave Ben Arbuckle a lot of props earlier, which are well deserved, Ryan. And the nice thing was yesterday when we talked to Ben, you see again, still a young guy. But I asked him because, we all get caught up in talking about the people that have the ball in their hand. And we never ask about the big guys. And I asked him, tell me about your offensive line. And he talked about the guy snapping the ball, number 70, Devin Kalani. And as kind of the guy that keeps everybody in order up front, not surprising for the center. Pulolassi is going to be stopped short. And, of course, the great story is the left tackle, Esapole, who everybody who's a Washington State football fan knows what a rough go he had last year and how he's emerged to become a guy that people are looking at. And here's a young man, Esapole, from the San Francisco Bay Area that never played football until he went to junior college.
6'7", 319 pounds, blocking the blind side of a quarterback is so important. And this year he's just been everything for this football team. There's been nothing that the coaching staff has said that he has been letting down in any way.
Yep. Older brother played here, but he's made himself, and here so has Mateer. And there's Mateer. Whoa, wow. There's one of the few times you've seen discretion in Mateer's game, but it was a first down gain.
This is a good job by him. He looks for the progression. It's not there, feels a little pressure, and then sees this wide open space come open. He's trying to settle down a little bit, but I still think he was trying to make a play there, just kind of fell forward.
And on the scramble finds Pulolassi underneath, and that's going to be another first down for the Cougs. Now in the red zone at the 18.
One of the biggest things during the multiple bye weeks with John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle and him talked about, hey, I would rather see you throw the ball and let our guys take those hits than you do with your legs. Now, if you feel like you need to, do it. That's a perfect example. He finds an open guy on the check down, doesn't have to take the hit, gets the first down, and now he can become that playmaker inside the red zone if they need him.
All right, subs on both sides. Cougs brought different skill people in, including Hudson, who's split to the bottom. Hernandez to the top. And Parker runs it. And Parker did a nice job to pick up an extra yard or two. He's going to get almost 4 on that play with the pushing still going on. Ike Larson eventually the first good hit out of the Utah State defense. There's the ace cam.
Good job by the safety coming in and making the stop, though. Like I said before, this Utah State team hasn't quit. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there you could look around, and especially when you go on the road, and they just haven't. They've played their tails off, and they continue to fight. The coaching staff has done a good job of keeping those guys invested in this season.
All right, 10th play of this Cougar drive. And Mateer finds Kyle Williams. Touchdown. And the Cougs have had a perfect half. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns.
It's what you want to see coming off a bye. John Mateer stays patient in the pocket, allows Kyle Williams to come over the top. Watch him go through his progression. He went left to right, and I would say Kyle's probably his 3rd guy in this progression. Does a tremendous job. This is the ace cam. Ball comes right over the top of my head. Boom! Perfectly thrown pass to the stellar star, Kyle Williams, for the touchdown.
So 2 touchdown catches for Kyle Williams tonight. That gives him 22 in his career. 7 of those now this year. So this offense that's averaging 50 points a game on this field this year is on that track tonight. A quarter and a half, 21 for Washington State. Hey, if you want to cheer on your favorite team in style, then snap the QR code and score big on team swag and tailgate essentials. Shop now. John Mateer, Little Elm, Texas. He's been a leader, and he is, as Kyle Williams has added, as you say, 2 touchdowns tonight, 7 for the year. What you see with Mateer was the point again. Remember, here's a guy that had never started a game until this year at Washington State. He started his first game as a 14-year-old at Little Elm, Texas in high school at the 20,000-seat stadium in Frisco, Texas. That's a baptism. That is, when was the first time you played a 20,000-seat stadium?
It would have been. Was it before here? My first start? No, it was at the Apple Cup at Husky Stadium. Yeah, 76,000.
Yeah.
And I was 19 or 18, you know?
Right. So think about that. He's a 14-year-old freshman doing that.
But, you know, I'll tell you this. Once you've played in front of, I don't know, 2,500 people, it feels the same.
Is that right?
Yeah, it does. It just feels the same everywhere. You go from 2,500 to 110,000 in the Rose Bowl. It felt the same. It just did.
So Utah State now back to work with Petrus, Faison the running back. Short throw to the middle, gets a good first down gain to Otto Tia. Get a look at how it looks here from the ace ump cam.
Alupta, he spots it immediately and then just takes off after not being able to get to the quarterback, makes a great tackle.
Good first down gain, and now Washington State's defense rallies and does not let Faison get out and turn. And that was Tanner Moku that made a good job. Did a good job there. And finally, Boogie Wilson came up and finished the play. No gain.
I would say the Boogie Wilson that had some boogie in him there. He took off, and he was the big reason why they were able to keep him back there and set up this third down. This is big for Utah State. They need to convert on this to get their offense to stay on the field, because this defense is gassed, I can tell you right now.
Change of play by Petrus on 3rd and 3. Taking a shot, and he has his man. And it is incomplete. Hestera trying to make the sliding catch. Close call. Boogie Wilson down there.
He's beat from the moment of jump, and if Petrus just throws the ball out there a little bit, it's a completion. It may be even a touchdown. Instead, they cannot convert and execute. Now, Washington State's going to get the ball back here in the second quarter with plenty of time on the clock to put another drive together.
Oh, you're right. That was a good run right by Latanua by Jack Hestera. And the Utah State punt kicks up, and now, boy, look at that extra roll. It's really become that Aussie art of punting where you can hit one that doesn't look like traditional punt, but when it hits and bounces the right way, it adds 10 to 15 yards.
Yeah, and you eliminate the return.
Exactly.
You know, it's a great defensive weapon. You know, another thing between John Mateer, I think, and Ben Arbuckle, you know, you talked about the Texas connection there. I asked him the question, does sometimes in those meetings, does that draw? All of a sudden, do they start talking like, hey, what'd you see on this one, John? Well, I don't know, Ben, what'd you see on this one? And his Texas accent started coming out a little bit. It's fun to listen to them talk about this offense. They're really in tune with one another. And John's gotten so much more accurate over the...
That's a great call, right? He's 11 of 14 today. And the last home game here against Hawaii was the game where his accuracy really shined. Oh, that one.
Big one, though.
Yep, that was just as we say that. Ike Larson is going to have nightmares right there for him.
He had the post, and that's the one I thought he was going to let. He looked at him. I don't know why he didn't let it go. That crosser is always difficult simply because you got a guy undercutting it, and he throws it behind him. Oh, I thought he had a shot. He had a shot there for a big post one-on-one.
So 2nd and 10 for the Cougars. Hudson on a cross, not there, and misfired, trying to get it out in the right flat to Pulalasi.
We jinxed him, Ted. We jinxed him on the accuracy point of it. Those were two of the probably poorest throws of the night by John Mateer. He had the skinnies. Yeah, a little bit, enough to send it off target, so we'll blame that. Good job by our director back home. I don't ever want to blame a quarterback for being inaccurate, people, all right? We are always accurate. It's always somebody else's fault. That is the good point. Thanks, Will.
Javinsky Schlenbaker is our running back here for the Cougars to the right of Mateer. And here comes the underneath throw with some blockers and trying to get to the first down stick, but no, Utah State rallies and stops Kyle Williams. Mike Larson led the charge. And it'll be fourth down, and is this going to be the season debut for Nick Haberer? I think so.
I think so.
Wait to see where the mark is. It's a full 3 yards short, so the Cougars will punt for the first time, and here's Haberer's first punt. Bangs one that's going to angle away from Kahanu Davis, but doesn't get the favorable bounce. Goes sideways. And Utah State will have decent field position here. Just under 5 minutes now remaining in the first half. 33-yard punt.
It's a bit interesting talking with Ben Arbuckle around its offense, where it's rolling like a well-oiled machine, and then all of a sudden it's just a hiccup, and it's a 3 and out, you know. And they had a shot. They went for the big play on the first play on first down, and he just didn't take it. And then a tip ball, and then they get backed up, and then it's a 3 and out. And now you give a team that, you know, in the eyes of Washington State fans, doesn't belong in this football game a chance to get back in it.
And Spencer Petras comes underneath. Good hit. So nothing after the catch. Grant Page on the reception.
Tackling machine Kyle Thornton just laying some wood.
Well, Utah State's had an offensive year, obviously good numbers, a lot of explosive plays. And now a chance for them to, before halftime, to get one home here as Page takes the ball to midfield.
Well, big thing we talked about at the beginning, right? How do you replace Jalen Royals? 55 receptions, almost 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That is just an amazing amount of offensive firepower that you lose.
Well, look at this. Petras shocks the Cougar defense by keeping the ball, but he slides, and that cost him a first down. Slid too soon.
Yeah. Here's the ace up cam. Job just zone read. He keeps it. No one expecting him to do that. I don't know. I think that spot's a little iffy right there, but possibly if they don't pick one up.
Well, and there's a flag down. Faison is stopped short of the line to gain. So good run stop there for Washington State. That was Rom Stevenson leading the charge, but here's the penalty.
Holding. Offense. Number 52. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Not a lot of flags in this first half, and that's going to back Utah State up to second and 11. Petras 17 pass attempts, 88 yards passing, so it's pretty much been underneath. The one big shot that he had was the one they missed down the middle of the field. Would have been a 30-plus yard gain to Hestera. And underneath there to Hestera, it goes through his legs.
It's a pretty good play call. Defense just comes with a blitz, and Petras just underthrows his receiver. It's a man-to-man out there, so you're going to have a one-on-one chance to make a guy miss. Stephen Hall is right there. Out of the secondary was Boogie Wilson that was coming in with a pretty clean shot at Petras.
So 3rd and 11. And a Cougar stop here would give them plenty of chance to score before halftime. And Petrus in trouble, spins away. Moving out to his left and is able to fire it and avoid a grounding call for the loss, but it will be 4th down.
I mean, they're just Andrew Edson, just relentless pressure here. Good job by the back end to stay in coverage and then to put the pressure on Petrus. He comes in and kind of loops around all the way from the other side. It's just like I said, relentless, stays on him, makes him throw the ball away and give his offense another chance here right before half with about 3 minutes to go.
All right, different punter here for Utah State. Ryan Marks is in to punt this ball, and he's going to throw it instead, and it is incomplete. So the Aggies try for the fake, and here comes the very late flag from the back judge, and that may be a saving grace here for Utah State. It is interference.
It's a very late flag. You're exactly right with that, Ted. And I'd love to see a replay of this. We're going to have a little conversation here because this looked like really good coverage in a really difficult position on a fake punt attempt.
So the clear Utah State brought in a different punter. Now Ryan Marks has punted, but he's not the lead punter.
Pass interference, defense, number 32, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
And you see that no surprise how Washington State reacts.
Well, I tell you what, he wasn't fooled. This is great defense. I don't see what the play call is, especially for the guy who threw the flag. The guy who threw the flag is from the backside. Now, if he's throwing the flag because of that right
arm, is that what you're thinking?
I don't think it is. Yeah. I think it's a bad call. And unfortunately for Washington State, they're going to have to bow their necks and make a stop. That's great coverage because he wasn't fooled at all. He saw the guy go, and he covered him from the jump. That's a great play. Great defensive play.
That's, again, a look from the ace-up cam. That's not the view that the official who threw the flag saw. All right, a whole bunch of handoffs and pitches, and eventually it's Kyrese White with the ball, and all of that ends up being a waste of motion. Play gets nothing.
Wide open. He just doesn't let it fly. They ran it, perfectly called play, 2 back-to-back plays, perfectly executed. They had a wide open wide receiver, and the left-handed reverse wide receiver doesn't let it fly and instead gets tackled for a loss.
All right, crosser to White. He's dropped right there. Good tackle again, but Thornton's had an active half, hasn't he?
He's had an active career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Luke does a little slow getting up, but it's going to be 3rd down. And see if I don't think Utah State can get the ball off in time here. And so that will get us to the 2-minute timeout. Gently called. It gives us a chance to send it to our CW studios. Hey, listen, I want to know how much coffee Mike Yams had. You guys have been there all day.
Ted, I can assure you I am well caffeinated. There's multiple cups. I don't know if I'm sleeping tonight. We've seen some top 10 teams go down. BYU trying to stay unbeaten against a Utah squad that's actually beaten them 9 out of 10. This is not going to help. Micah Bernard getting into the end zone. Mighty Muss, they are rocking Ted in Salt Lake City. Let's go. They're up at the half, 21-10. I know you guys got a couple more minutes before we hit our break.
Well, that's fascinating, Yammer. We've been watching, Ryan's been watching that score too, because again, you saw Miami of Florida, who had not lost to replay yet this year, but they lost to Georgia Tech today. So they knocked them, they're out of the undefeated rank. Will BYU follow? Army still has a game with Notre Dame ahead, and of course Indiana has Ohio State to play.
Yeah, it looks like Oregon is firmly in control of the #1 seed right now. They are the #1 ranked team in the country. They have a matchup at Wisconsin, and normally I would say when jump around gets going, it could be a problem. If they're looking ahead to Washington, which they're definitely looking forward to that game, because Washington has been an absolute just buster for them over the last couple seasons. And then they'll be set up. They'll have a first-round bye, and then they'll get a chance to go to whatever bowl they'll play in the second round of the college football playoff. So Oregon's done a pretty great job of moving towards a bigger conference, and they're going to get a chance probably to face off against the likes of Ohio State if the Buckeyes can take care of Indiana in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis.
And you know what? So the national picture is chewed over in many, many places, as it should be. And to localize it a little bit right here, how fascinating is it that Washington State said, you know what, you left us behind. All of our partners abandoned us. And guess what? We're in the conversation. They're not in the top 12, and really it's the number 12 team there, Boise State. That's the difference right now. That game.
Yeah, they're not in the top 12, but guess what they are? They are in the mix.
That's the point. In November, they're playing for something.
And every game means something here. This fan base, the understanding of what they're playing for, you know? I'm going to say it right now. I'm looking at the crowd out here. It's a little disappointing. They got to get it done. They have New Mexico on the road, which is going to be a difficult one. Bronco Mendenhall's going to have them. Then they go to Oregon State for the Pac-12 championship of sorts. And then they get Wyoming at home. You and I will have 2 out of those next 3 calls, Ted.
Yep. And, of course, they have to finish this tonight with Petrus getting the first down there. Just a simple out throw to Kyrese White. So Utah State now giving themselves a chance to score before halftime. Plenty of time with 2 timeouts. And again, the hockey-like shift changes that the Washington State defense is employing, 4 and 5 at a time.
You know, when the offense decides to substitute, do it yourself.
Petrus looking for Tia, doesn't get there, but comes to the near side and it's picked. Kapenagushikin. And that's a huge play for Washington State. It stops Utah State's chance to score, and now the Cougars have a chance to go 2 for 1 as they will get the ball first in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, you really had to have seen that on film all week by Gushikin, because he falls back underneath the corner route perfectly. Petrus just does not see him, and he goes up and gets the ball. Great job of falling back, knowing your read, where you were at. He had to have seen it on film all week. The post was where you wanted to go if you were Petrus. Instead, he falls kind of in a little trap. Corner falls underneath. A great job on his part. And now you're exactly right. They have a chance. Well, they've had a couple chances to get a 2 for 1 here with about minute 46 to go. Get some points and then get the ball coming out in the second half.
And 2 timeouts. So we'll see how they operate here. They're going to start with a very short gain on a run by Wayshawn Parker.
It's very conservative play call by Ben Arbuckle, but maybe hoping they would surprise him and get something to bust loose.
Well, what you sure don't want to do is give Utah State the ball back. Aggies have 2 timeouts. And Matier is going to get out to his right. It's going to cut in. Oh, good trip. Boy, he had a chance to try to step up and get some yardage there, but a freshman that the Utah State coaches are excited about, Tanner Williams, all the injuries they've had, he has to play a little bit more.
And they did talk about him, right? The 6'2", 215-pound freshman out of Mater Dei High School. He gets his fingers on one of the best rushes in all of college football and gets him to the ground.
And Nate Dreiling, see him in the middle there, Nate Dreiling, who was the defensive coordinator when Utah State hired him last offseason, became the interim head coach in July, but he's still involved with the D, and he used a timeout, although he did tell us during the week he has some wise heads next to him on the sideline that are helping him with those kinds of decisions, the tactical decisions, because he is so focused on the defense.
Well, yeah, situationally, you know, you have to have understandings. Now you're being asked to do things that you've never been asked to do before as a coordinator, right? Call timeouts, understand when you go for it on the offensive side.
And let's see how Ben Arbuckle decides to run this play on 3rd and 9.
Showing a little blitz look. They're going to fall back out of it. They bring the backer. Has to make. Ooh.
Quick throw, and Meredith is going to be down just short. Utah State did not let him get to the line to gain, and Utah State's going to call its last timeout of the half. And so the Aggies going to get the ball back here with a minute, in the vicinity of a minute to play.
Yeah, that was a very great play call on the defensive side there. They bring the linebacker. They kind of show blitz from the open side of the field, and no one there to block him. And John Mateer notices immediately and has to get rid of the football. And doing so, you know, it's before the sticks, and J.D. Drew, the cornerback, just rallies and makes the tackle for the first down.
I'm laughing as I'm looking at Ben Arbuckle there and thinking, what did he tell us yesterday has been one of the very few problems the offense has run into this year? 4th and 2.
Yeah.
Look at what they're facing. And you know, John Mateer's like, come on, we can make this.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
And the last time they were in this position, right, they were against Boise State back in their own end, and Jake Dicker gave them the green light, and they didn't get it. And that game turned incredibly lopsided. So if anybody didn't see that Boise State game, they would think it was a blowout. That game was a 7-point game going into the 4th quarter.
All right, well, Cougs going to hope here for a good punt from Nick Haberer. And he gets that away, and that's more like Nick Haberer. Had some All-American honors a couple of years ago here. Fair catch on a 41-yarder, but still, Utah State will have 58 seconds. Try to get themselves, if nothing else, into field goal range. Spencer Petras, who started 31 games at Iowa, 31 games in the Big Ten, is next week going to celebrate his 25th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
So he is, yes, he's a grown-up.
Yeah. I think I was out of the NFL by 25 after playing 5 years.
Little delay run, and that's a good run by Herschel Turner that gives Utah State some hope. That ball will stop the clock momentarily. Well, there's actually an injured Cougar player, so the clock will stop totally here after a 15-yard run.
It's Tyson Durant, their safety transfer from Akron.
Well, that's unfortunate, of course, most importantly, an injured Cougar player, and tactically it gives Utah State a breather, and it will stop the clock with the injured player. And certain, none of us are doctors, I don't think, but these are the ones when you see how they react, that, man, they just don't look great.
I mean, it doesn't look anything out of the ordinary. They're looking at his leg, but it looks like it's more maybe like a hand or shoulder kind of feel to it.
I hope that would be a welcome.
Yeah.
That's Durant. And this is nice. He's able, with a little assistance, but he's able to walk.
He's had an incredible year too at the free safety position. Very important in this defense.
And Ryan, remember, the Cougars, 3 defensive backs off last year's team were in NFL camps this summer.
Yeah.
So the secondary was a concern coming into the year.
It was. You know, one of them, Jaden Hicks, has been absolutely lights out in Kansas City for the undefeated Chiefs.
All right, so here we go. And now another run is going to give Utah State the ball in Washington State territory. 2 good gains by Herschel Turner. No timeouts. That was not a first down gain. But Petras and the Aggies have some room here. And now he gets rid of it, but it's off Turner's hands. It does stop the clock, although that would have been a first down gain if Turner held it.
Yeah, it was a tremendous job by Petras going through his entire read and then avoiding the defenders that got in his face. Steps up in the pocket and fires one right through the arms of Turner as running back. You're right, would have been a first down. Most likely he would have probably gotten out of bounds too as he was charging towards the Utah State sideline.
And no timeouts for the Aggies. 3 wide receivers right for Petras. And he's going to go to one of them, and it's almost, and another one where you saw Jackson Latamua thought he had the end zone in his sight.
Yeah, Latamua just reads the eyes of Petrus the whole time. Look, he's just inching over there, and then he's right there to take it.
Man, if he catches that, he's gone.
Yeah,
That's
gone.
An easy walk.
Tremendous job by him of reading the quarterback's eyes, knowing that his job was to flow with that, and he undercuts it and makes a big play. They're going to go for here on 4th down.
Well, now they're going to send the punter out, although he's a passer the last time. But this time, Marks will punt the ball. And this will get into the end zone and certainly will end the half. The Cougs will likely take a knee here and get off the field, knowing they will get the ball to begin the 3rd.
This is gonna, this is gonna give Jake Dickert a real opportunity to kind of get after his offense though here in the locker room, because they go up 21-7 and have had multiple opportunities now before half to kind of put the hammer down, right? And that's what these games are about for them. If they're home games and they're looking for style points with the committee, things like that, it's important that they put this team away.
I would love to live long enough to have that phrase get out of college sports. Style points. I know. I can fantasize.
We can go back to we can go back to the BCS.
I would love that.
Me too.
Gosh. Anyway, John Mateer engineered field drives for touchdowns the first 3 times the Cougars had the ball. See them pausing there as the teams have to cross here in Pullman to head to the locker rooms. Cougars letting the Aggies get off first. And the offensive start for Washington State was excellent. And the Cougars have a 21-7 halftime lead in Pullman, playing as a ranked team for the first time this year. And a good first half. As we send it now to Mike Yann in our CW studios.
We're the Southwest Washington chapter of Washington State Alumni Association. We're here watching the Wazoo on the CW.
We want to wish the Cougs the best of luck.
From Taps Fair Reserve in Richfield, Washington. Go Cougs!
Go!
Well, that's been great every week, whether it's Cougars or Beavers alums, we're seeing them around. That was in Southwest Washington. We're there watching, and Ryan, they had to be happy. Again, you start the game, 3 possessions, 3 full field drives for touchdowns led by John Mateer.
Yeah, it's a good start. They have to finish better. It almost seems like sometimes that Ben Arbuckle scripts those first 15 plays, and they are perfect, and then they got to find their way. But when they are on, they're on. Kyle Williams has been a big part of that. Catches a touchdown, and then a perfectly thrown pass to the outside there before he runs, and then dumps off to his receiver, Wayshawn. Kyle Williams was big, coming over the middle for another touchdown pass there. Here are the Sky Rizzy keys to the game here. All right. Create turnovers. They haven't had a chance to do that yet. Make this game a shootout, and they certainly haven't been able to put enough points on the board. For the Washington State Cougars, stop the run. They've done a very good job of that. Make the Aggies one-dimensional, and then they can come after them. Let that defensive line get off and get the quarterback on the ground. Those are your Sky Rizzy keys to the game.
All right, here we go. Cougars with the ball to start the second half. Mateer, 13 of 18 passing for 141 and 2 touchdowns. He had 24 yards running. And they're going to run a big break up the middle by Parker. Now it's a foot race. And Wayshawn Parker is going to win it. 75 yards to start the second half.
Scripted play calls, you have them coming out in the first half, and certainly here in the second half. That's just a great block on the edge that springs Wayshawn Parker, and the freshman does the rest. Just a zone, and he just cuts back and over Pursuo. No one was in the middle of the field, and the freshman speed just does the rest, like I said. Outruns the Aggies players for a big touchdown to open up this second half to put the Cougars up by 21.
Janikowski out for the point. And what? Would not have asked for a better opening of the half. longest run in Wayshawn Parker's freshman year, 75 yards, and the Cougars up 28-7. Wednesday on Inside the NFL, our pros take a look ahead at this weekend's games. You'll have Coach Belichick's game plan and Chad Johnson's predictions you don't want to miss. Inside the NFL is Wednesdays at 9, 8 Central on the CW. Learn a lot of football listening to Belichick on that. How about this? We're going to see Spencer Petras back out on the field in a minute. And an amazing thing, almost overlapped at the same high school, Marin Catholic High School, as Jared Goff. And look at that. That number got your attention, Lee. 50-2 his senior year.
50 touchdown passes. I think I attempted 50 passes my entire senior year. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers good.
Again, Petras is an older, he's a sixth-year player, 25 years old, so he only missed Goff by a year in high school, but they do have some connections. The Utah State coaches were talking. They've had some relationship, and this has been a nice jump because, look, Spencer Petras played at Iowa, and I think anybody that follows college football knows that Iowa's had some offensive turmoil in recent years.
And the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff are the best, I think, football team in the NFL right now.
There you go. There's Herschel Turner getting some run. But the nice part about Petras this year is he was injured, didn't play last year at Iowa. There was some thought he was going to get into coaching, and he decided to transfer and play this year at Utah State. And Nate Drowning said the word he used, he's enjoying himself.
In playing football is about fun. If you're not having fun, there's no point in doing it because you get beat up for a living, you know? So you better be enjoying it. And
well, you can see Grant Page's reaction because that wasn't called.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anybody watch the Thursday night football game in the NFL as well?
Ooh, yeah. All right, third down and short here. So Turner's the running back, and it's been interesting in this game as Turner gets the direct snap, a nice fake, but the Cougs don't get faked. So Utah State trying a little trickery, direct snapping while people were looking to the sideline.
Oh, they were ready for it. Just perfectly done. Andrew Edson, it just crashes off the edge once again. Relentless effort.
And on fourth down, the Cougars look to have stopped him. This is going to be a mark, and the mark, we're going to see. The mark on my first glance looks like short, but you can see two officials conferring from opposite sidelines.
They're going to take a look. I can't tell if he's down or not when he reaches that ball forward, but then you have Alukta just flies in. Great job by Kyle Thornton. He spins. He goes to reach, and that reach may have done it, but he takes the ball away.
Yeah, he may have reached and broken the plane. And again, no measurement needed. It was a touchback to start this series, so the ball just needs to touch the 35-yard line.
Well, if I'm Jake Dickert, I'm taking a look here, though, because as he reaches the football, Aluka comes in. If he's not down, he can reach it forward, then the ball's live.
The ball's live, you're right. All right, now here we go with... All right, the play's under review, and is it under review for that exact point that Ryan Leaf made, continuing action? Interesting. I was wondering if Jake Dickert might follow Nate Dryling's lead from the first half and use his challenge. I'm not sure what this conversation's about because the play's being reviewed. John Love, the referee, is already on the headsets at the screen.
He spins. No body part is down. He reaches forward for the first down, yet there's no body part down. Aluka comes in, takes the ball away.
Boy, that's a great pickup by you. I didn't see it. That's exactly right. That's live continuing action. right?
Indeed, and Aluka comes down with it on the other side of that pile as the reach happens. So if you're going to give him the credit for the reach,
well, that's it. You can't. If they rule forward progress, then it's not a first down.
No,
right? This ball is. If it's a first down on that, then the ball's live.
Ball's live. He takes it away. That is Cougar football. It is a definite recovery by Washington State.
That's a heck of a play, and of course that is the one danger to doing this, as we look from the ace ump cam. The one danger of sticking that ball out, we often talk about this. I'm one of those people that talks about it with the quarterback sneaks all the time, as Drew Brees was an expert at that. But that's the danger, right? The ball's vulnerable.
The ball's very vulnerable. When it's at the goal line, it's different, right? You just have to break the plane. I don't care if it gets knocked out of your hand as long as you break the plane.
Let's listen.
Those whistles come after the ball's been recovered by Aluka.
Well, all right. I'm tired of guessing. Let's listen to the decision.
After review, the runner's progress was not stopped. He did reach the ball forward. It was taken away by the Washington State defender. It is a fumble. 1st and 10, Washington State.
All right. Score one for Leaf. You picked it up. I did not see this. That from every replay appears to be the proper call.
It is. It's just a great job. It was a great job by the officials noticing that he did break the plane for the first down using his second effort, but they didn't catch the second part, which was the great play by Buda Al-Duukta taking the ball away after he was being blocked and then recovering it himself to set up the Cougars now after a huge stop on 4th down.
So now the Cougs can really, it's only the 3rd quarter, but you can put some significant distance in this game if you can punch this ball in the end zone.
And we had a discussion with Ben Arbuckle about a little bit of a issue of 3rd quarter kind of apathy, where they weren't scoring a lot. There may have been some discrepancies in terms of when points were scored and things like that, but they have a chance here to open up with 2 consecutive drives to start the second half.
There goes Kyle Williams in motion, but they come back to Hudson for the throw. And there's Cooper Mathers, and it's overthrown. Flag down as well. Flag down at the spot where Hudson threw the ball. All right, so there is a flag down, and this is going to be interesting because remember, Chris Hudson here is not he's not a quarterback.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 4, high contact, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Okay, high contact, there's the explanation.
Good job making sure he throws it backwards. And then just a straight, crown of the helmet. That should be a targeting.
That was. We couldn't tell enough from the one replay with his crown, but that was a clear call. It didn't matter. He's passing. He's hitting a square in the head neck area. Mateer with a run. John Miller on the tackle for Utah State. Wayshawn Parker's 75-yard touchdown run, longest of the year for Washington State. The previous long had been 68 yards by John Mateer.
What was that, Portland State?
I'm thinking back, that was the first game, I think.
Yeah, that was the one we had too.
And now Mateer sees a lot of room. Oh, no, he got run down from behind. He saw a lot of room. That's the second time that Bronson Olivau has recovered, used some speed.
Yeah, great job by Olivau to chase down Mateer. It's very difficult to do with his ability to run the football. We've seen it a couple times. These backers for Utah State have stayed home and been on point getting Mateer to the ground. His legs haven't been able to a big difference tonight so far.
All right, 3rd and 7. And Mateer comes back, legs again. Nope, not going to get away. Nope, bounced off a couple of people and brought down. So Utah State's pressure gets home. Started with Isaiah Bruce. Mateer is sacked. That's the first time tonight. And it is the 24th sack this year. That's the one.
I will say this about the Washington State offense, that they are not very good at when they have negative plays of being able to bounce back. Like if they don't get a positive play on first down, really, they have a really hard time then getting a first down after a negative play on first or second down, unfortunately.
All right, 40 yards here for Janikowski, and it is no good. So that is an exhale for Utah State. The Cougars had a takeaway. They had a penalty that helped, but they come away empty. And it's still a lead, but not as comfortable as Washington State would like early in the 3rd. Man, this is a great little halftime youth football game, and that is Jet Dickert. Yes, son of Candace and Jake Dickert scoring. A little halftime fun. Jake Dickert has often talked about how much he wants to be around to watch his kids play football as they grow. You're watching CW Football Saturday presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there as Utah State, having dodged what might have been close to a knockout blow. Cougars not able to score after the takeaway. Now Petrus back to work for Utah State. Boy, that's a nice throw, and how about that catch? That is a terrific play to Otto Tia against the coverage of Cabana Gushikin. And let's see
a play here.
Well, we have a flag, and it's in that holding area.
Holding offense. Number 55. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's the kind of throw that what they were talking about.
Yeah,
that your Petrus can make that kind of throw.
That is a special throw from one hash all the way to the outside numbers on a line, but one offensive lineman got a little handsy there right before the throw was let loose.
They really like their center, and that's who was called for the holding there, Pule Alo. So right now that backs up Utah State to their 13. A little dump over the middle is not caught. Interesting tonight as this game moves into the 3rd quarter. There were far more snaps with Herschel Turner in the game as the running back for Utah State.
It's just a mesh play here, and he puts it on the tight end. Josh Sturzer, you know, I'm going to tell you, it's something Mike Levenseller, who was the wide receiver coach while I was here. Don't let the ball get to your body. It's just plain and simple. Use your hands. That's the reason why you're here. Put your hands out, catch it with your hands, your big, strong hands, put it away, and then pick up the yardage.
3rd and 20, and there's Turner with the underneath catch. And just too many crimson jerseys around, stopping him, and that will force a punt for Utah State. And as Petrus comes to the sideline, again, it's interesting because the player we talk so much about, Rasul Faison, is on the sideline with his helmet on, so it's usually the sign you're eligible to play, but Herschel Turner's getting most of the run.
Yeah, this has been surprising. You know, not knowing really anything. Coaches didn't, you know, tip their hand to us at all. They just flat out said that all 3 running backs were going to get some work, but Faison's been the bell cow of this offense so far this season.
Punt's going to be hanging high in the air, caught by Tony Freeman. And there is an automatic stop for our information guru, Sam Polis, when he comes to Pullman, and that's Ferdinand's. Because the ice cream's great, and so is the Cougar Gold, their renowned cheese that's made here on campus. And look at what our proud Cougar alum Adam Gordon delivered for us. How about these servings?
Bowl eligible for the 8th time in 9 seasons. That's some impressive stuff right there. 7-1 for the first time since Mike Leach's penultimate season.
And the bowl eligible, I mean, it's it's establishing the consistency 8 times in 9 years.
Here he is again.
And there it is, another bust out. And Wayshawn Parker having the best game of his first year. And it's something that, I mean, he arrived here with an awful lot of hope. They thought this was the guy that could revitalize running the football at Washington State.
Well, he's done that so far this game tonight, and just very patient, which is hard to find when you're a freshman running back.
Nice job by Mateer, facing pressure, got rid of it, and it's Hudson who spins it down, but then the ball is out and eventually fallen on by another Cougar. Trey Lechner saves the possession.
First off, just a tremendous job by Mateer to get this ball out at all. And then Hudson almost falls down but keeps his foot and then gets ripped and hit from back. Trey Lechner, the tight end, makes the play to jump on the football.
Cougars have only lost 2 fumbles this year.
Yeah, it's only the 5th time it's been on the ground for him.
That is tremendous, and part of the takeaway number that was another emphasis for Jake Dickert, and they've been excellent with it. And there's Leo Pulalasi inside the 5.
Ben Arbuckle.
22 yards for Pulalasi.
Yeah, Ben Arbuckle just says we ain't messing around. The ace ump cam here and just follows his blockers, cuts back against the pursuit and almost gets into the end zone with the burst there at the end.
Well, the Cougars missed the chance a few moments ago, and now they have a second opportunity to deliver, let's say, a TKO in the 3rd quarter. And it's Mateer himself, and he is down short.
Bring in some heavies. Going to go to a bigger jumbo set here. Most likely, I would suspect they'll have something very similar than what we just saw.
Cooper Mathers lines up fullback. Schlenbaker deep. Carlos Hernandez the only wideout. And it's Schlenbaker. No, he reaches and launches, and he lost the ball, but it is ruled down. Line judge comes in from the near sideline, ruling down by contact at the 1.
It almost was exactly what you said. Down by the goal line, do not reach for the goal line. And he goes down there before he reaches. His reach even comes short.
Yep. That replay was a very good view. His knee had hit. So it is now 3rd down and goal. And obviously this is 2 more plays for the Cougs if they need them. Billy Revere, the good blocking tight end, is tight end right. Mathers and Pulalasi now are the backs. And Mateer himself is going to get hit and not. Well, let's see. Yes, he did. John Mateer, as he has done all year, just does not go down easily. And we're talking about a quarterback. And he gets it in the end zone.
That was all John Mateer. He gets bottled up behind the line of scrimmage, nowhere to go. He's got big number 20 and 90 on him from Utah State, and he just reaches across and uses that lower body of his to get there for the first. Another touchdown for John Mateer.
Great view there from the ace ump cam. So for Mateer, that's rush touchdown number 7 this year. 10 in his career. Remember, he was used a little bit last year in run situations, goal line situations. And the point kicked through by Dean Janikowski. So John Mateer, where's that C? Remember, it's only the 9th game he started in his college career. And he has played Washington State into a meaningful November. You're watching CW Football Saturday. It's presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Tailgating outside Martin Stadium, right? A lot of it's right next to Beasley Coliseum, the home of Cougar basketball, and it's a great part of the football weekends in the Palouse.
What a great opportunity for the weekend. Come down on a Friday afternoon, catch a Cougar basketball game at Beasley, set up your camper, enjoy some
Well, that's what's going on here. The men's basketball team played last night. The women play tomorrow afternoon just across the street. And football is in a position here to get win number 8. And there's one home game left for the Cougs. It'll be the final Saturday, November 30th here against Wyoming. We'll be here on the CW for that game. And if the Cougars have that kind of backing on the road the next 2 weeks, if they take care of their business, that'll be a very special Saturday, November 30th.
They've had some very adventurous road games, especially down south, and this season New Mexico is going to be a problem. Bronco Mendenhall has put together quite a team.
Yeah. Right back to work now goes Utah State. Spencer Petras hits Kyrese White. This has been the Utah State attack tonight, been almost most of it through the air, but it's almost been all underneath throws.
Though they've had opportunities down the field, they haven't hit those shots when they presented themselves.
And here's Petras taking a shot for Tia, and that's going to be the flag as Stephen Hall looked like he had to grab a right handful of some jersey running down the sideline.
Tia does a great job of going and kind of just pushing his left inside shoulder back into the defender as the ball's coming over the top.
Defense, number 1, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I don't know if you saw the split either, but I mean, it looked like Tia was almost on the absolute sideline where he lined up, and he runs back towards the numbers a little bit, which allows the quarterback a lot more room on the outside to throw this pass. Hall just kind of grabs that arm, and easy call for the official.
Yep. Look at this alignment here. Look where the wide receiver, you can see how wide they are. And Nigel was talking about this earlier, how wide the receiver setup. It reminds me a lot of what Leach did here. Leach would have wide receivers almost on each boundary.
It's a way to make those boundaries actually feel a little bit wider with the hashes being so far apart.
As Grant Page on that catch, flag here as Herschel Turner catches out of the backfield.
Holding offense, number 62, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Another look from the ace ump cam. Should be a pretty good view of the holding. That's where the flag came from.
Better be careful there with that right arm. Whap somebody in the back of the head with that flag.
I tell you, Ryan, I've never understood how somebody chooses to be an umpire in football. I mean, where they position, I mean, that's just crazy.
You know what's crazier?
What?
Playing quarterback.
Grant Page on that catch. Jackson Latamua there on the Cougar play. And again, look at the spread, the wide spread of these receivers. You don't even see the two on the bottom. They were lined up on the numbers. And Petras got tripped, and that ball did not make it back. Well, they're going to say it did make the line of scrimmage. close to me, but I don't think it made it, but they're not throwing the flag, so pressure there by Isaac Terrell for the Cougars.
Digging into their depth tonight at the edge position. Just relentless pursuit tonight by the defensive line. Jake Dickert's got to be incredibly pleased with this performance from this front seven.
Good throw there. Petras drills one to the Cougars sideline, caught by Page, pushed out by Jamari Colson. And that's going to be a first down. Well, the Washington State, excuse me, 3rd and 20, so now it is 4th and 10.
Great job by Jamari Colson, to your point. You know, he wasn't going to get beat deep and kept everything in front of him so he could set up this 4th down that they were going to have to go for.
Ooh, and that is going to be a first down. What a terrific hold of the ball. Kyrese White took the classic receiver pop and held it.
You ain't lying. The ace up cam again. Watches this ball flying through and boogie. Wilson just puts a hammer to him.
And now Utah State back, and another throw to Grant Page down to the 15-yard line. And we have an injured Washington State player.
It's just a double receiver look once again. This time, instead of throwing the hitch out there, they fool Washington State and get the open receiver. And Page, Boogie Wilson, who was down a little earlier with the same kind of injury, looks like his wrist made the tackle by just grabbing the ankle there, and he's down on the field once again.
All right, so Utah State staying alive, getting out of a 3rd and 20 with back-to-back passes, and that enables them now to get the ball into the red zone. They've made 3 consecutive completions, 10, 10, and 15 yards. We've just briefly mentioned it for those around the country that may not be totally aware. Utah State just been in the Mountain West for a while and has had outstanding basketball program. Craig Smith, who's now the head coach at Utah, really did a wonderful job with the Utah State men's program. They have a great basketball tradition. Where they go with football coach remains to be seen. Nate Dreiling, very young man, is the interim head coach. And the Aggies are headed to the Pac-12. 2026, this will be a conference battle. And they've had some good football moments. Mostly Gary Anderson is the head coach.
Washington State being very welcoming tonight to the Pac-12.
And trying to run this ball is Turner. And Turner does a good job of just fighting, gets it down to the 8-yard line. Turner is, the way the Utah State coaches were talking, is very much like Wayshawn Parker for Washington State. Turner did not get there until fall camp, and they were amazed by how easily and quickly he picked up the system. No, not much of a learning curve.
He looks the part, certainly.
And he's going to cut here and run it down for a first down inside the 5. Andrew Edson on the tackle.
Andrew Edson, number 95 on the tackle.
Milani there to finish things off as well. Great run, plants his foot in the ground, doesn't hesitate, gets up, picks up the first down, and puts them in a prime position to get some points before the 3rd quarter ends here.
Just the 2nd red zone trip of the game for the Aggies. They had one in the 1st quarter. Turner stays in as the running back, and Petras throws to the back corner and not caught by Kyrese White.
I mean, I tell you what, Ted, this dude's got a cannon, and a couple times the ball's just been thrown too hard.
I was just going to say, right?
He needs a little touch to it. Bryson Barnes is going to come in here as quarterback here.
I would imagine receivers must let the quarterback know that. Hey, big boy, I don't need a fastball on every one.
Not every single one of them here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last year of his career, I saw Randy Moss have his finger dislocated trying to catch a pass that Colin Kaepernick threw as he threw a fastball from 6 yards away. All right, Bryson Barnes in, and he will run it in, and Bryson Barnes gets Utah State's 2nd touchdown of the night.
Number 16, Bryson Barnes.
I mean, you pretty much know what you're going to get when he enters the game, but when you get down this close, it's, you know, a mano-a-mano, man-on-man, and you just have to shed a block before Bryson gets to the goal line, and this time it doesn't happen. Good play call, great execution. Former quarterback for the Utes gets the Aggies on the board again.
Tanner Cragen out for the extra point. So Utah State gets through, and remember they did a nice job. They were in 3rd and 20 and got out of that hole and ended up scoring on this Bryson Barnes run, his 3rd run touchdown of the year.
Yeah, anytime you got the man-to-man, and the Ace-Up camp gives us a good look at just not staying gap sound, and Bryson Barnes finds the little hole that he needs just to get that few yards to get in the end zone. Good response. You know, 35-14. I think anybody in this position would feel pretty good about how your team has played, both offensively and defensively. Now, they just want the finish, right? The boots on the neck. If you're Jake Dickert,
oh yes,
you want to just see that last finishing bit. One of the biggest stats he gave us that I couldn't believe when he told us this, in his first 2 years, this team was minus 94 in the point differential in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, right.
And that has been the biggest difference with this team and their ability to win football games late and coming from behind.
Oh, pretty good pop on the kick run back. Leighton Smithson going to pop back up for the Cougars after running that kick back.
If I'm Ben Arbuckle and Jake Dickert here, I want to see another well-executed drive here by John Mateer, and then I'm putting him on the bench. And I'm going to get some experience for a couple of these quarterbacks that you may need in these next few games if something may break down or you need for a series or two.
Well, John Mateer, you saw his numbers tonight. And they run the ball with Leo Pulalasi. Mateer now 31 touchdowns that he's responsible for, 20 pass and 11 run, as you look at a pretty nice CV for John Mateer.
He's been incredible. You know, you look at both.
And I want to ask you something, Ryan. I asked you this yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about it. You know, Mateer throws the ball sidearm. Is that potentially something that can be and should be addressed?
I'm not really worrying about it at any point during the season but I think it will probably be something that it's addressed.
Oh, nice job by Leo Pulalasi getting outside. And here's exactly what Jake Dickert, and I want to get back to Mateer, but this is what Jake Dickert talked about at the beginning of the year, was to be able to command a game and close the game by doing this, by just running.
Rushing the football, yeah. You want to be physical when everybody knows you have to run the football in this 4-minute offense, and you're still able to do it.
Right, there's another throw to Hernandez. Sorry, get back.
It's a baseball throw.
Yeah,
so simply it's a baseball throw. You're either your catcher or a shortstop or something like that. If you watch his back leg, it is almost like he lifts it off the ground when he's throwing it, which is a baseball type of throw. And now he can hum it now. Don't get me wrong. But it loses some down the field velocity when you're looking to throw it maybe 40 yards down the field and you got a speedster like Kyle Williams running a fade route.
Looking at time, buying time, taking off. And here's Mateer again. And look at that, the ball comes flying out, and it's going to be in the end zone, still losing. It goes out the back of the end zone, and will wind up being Utah State's ball, I believe. They're waiting for the official ruling.
There's going to be a batting call here,
though. A batting call, yeah, but who batted it?
The Utah State player batted it.
Okay, that I couldn't tell in the scramble. Let's see what they say. If Washington State batted it, it's Utah's ball on a touchback. But this is the conversation now going on. Well, that was vintage Mateer until the very end. Again, just not going down not being afraid of getting hit, and then eventually somebody just crushed the ball out. All right, Michael, another fun one tonight. Help us.
So, Ted and Ryan, what we have here, if you see, look at the end zone, the ball, it goes into the end zone, and what I see is an illegal bat. And batting the ball in the end zone is a foul.
By Washington State, Michael?
It seemed that the ball was illegally batted by the defense.
Oh, okay.
Illegal batting, defense, number 26. The 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the fumble. Yardage results in a first down.
Well, there it is, clear. Yep. Good catch, Michael.
Yeah, that ball's going out of bounds regardless there.
Yes.
That's so, you can't force it. So it goes back to where the ball was fumbled. You add the penalty yardage. That is a huge penalty. When people talk about the punitive damage to fumbling it out of the end zone on your own and the other team getting the ball, that is as bad. If you're a defensive coach, you have to make it very clear to them. By no means, if the ball looks like it's going to be rolling out of bounds, and now
Nate Dreiling is
that coach is going to not be happy about that one.
They've had 2 flags thrown for the interaction that seems to be one-sided. Nate Dreiling on the Utah State sideline with officials. We saw it this afternoon here on the CW in the San Jose State-Oregon State game.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Head coach, Utah State. His first of the game. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Ain't nobody want to come over and talk to you after one.
I was going to say. And we saw Ken Niumatolo at San Jose State was really into it again, and he lost it for a while in their game this afternoon. Nate Dreiling I'm not sure what triggered that reaction.
That would be my question, because it seemed pretty blatant that it was batted out of the back of the end zone.
All right, so it is first and goal at the 5. And it's Mateer, and he was left by himself, except Utah State was ready with a couple of defenders. First man was Ike Larson. And that gets us to the end of the third quarter. Well, if nothing else, we've had a couple of interesting plays to untangle tonight. But this has been a big part of it. Wayshawn Parker with a 75-yard touchdown run. Biggest play of the third quarter for the Cougars. All right, Cougar faithful wishing many of you around the country happy Sunday. For those of you in the Eastern and the Central time zones. Washington State with the lead. Nigel Burton with Jake Dickert.
That was a pretty wild sequence there. How did the referees explain that to you with the fumble that went out of the end zone?
Yeah, it's a batting penalty. You can't bat the ball out of the back of the end zone. We get it at the spot of the fumble.
Well, I know you talked about when you saw those 3 down linemen, you wanted to get a little bit more of the run game going. First play, touchdown, big run. Looks like they're responding to what you're asking for.
Yeah, that's what we need to do coming out of the half. This is a big one to go finish. This team can come back on you at any time. We got to finish this fourth quarter with some physical football.
Looking forward to it, Coach.
Atta baby. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
What? What just happened?
Oh my God! I wish you could see Ryan Lee's face. By the way, Carlos Hernandez is going to be frustrated because he just didn't catch a touchdown, and it's now 3rd and goal for the Cougars. I'm giving you a second to recover, Ryan. Mateer trapped, and finds Kyle Williams for his 3rd touch of the night. And look at that. Look at that acknowledgement from Jake Dickert. That tells you something, doesn't it?
I mean, rolling to your left, stopping, making a guy miss, knowing you're going to get hit as you release it, and finding your star in the back of the end zone. This is just tremendous. Quarterback play all the way around. He wants to throw it there. He doesn't see the guy come back in, and I get that, but the way he threw it above with the height, that would make me say, you know what, that kind of play would make any Husky say, go Cougs. So I get it. I get it.
Oh, my. Nigel, we're gonna have to hear from you at some point about that. Washington State has a chance to feel good, 42-14. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. With Ryan Leaf, Nigel Burton, Ted Robinson, our game being produced by Will O'Toole, directed by Scott Barkey, and our crew from Pullman, where a little light rain, just very light rain, has started to fall, but temperature right now is 41 degrees, so it's rain. That's the good news. John Mateer, just remarkable. As you can see, a little personalized semi-bandana there. But just having a remarkable 32 touchdowns now that he is responsible for. Kyrese White on this run back for Utah State. That's going to be a good one. Gets it out to the 30, and we'll send it back to our CW studios. Mike Yammer.
All right, Ted, let's keep everyone involved in what's happening in Salt Lake City. BYU, they were trailing Utah 21-13. Jake Retzlaff, 1-yard rushing touchdown. Kalani Sitake's like, yo, we got to go for 2. They attempt it, and they don't get it. Cameron Calhoun with the INT. So right now, Utah, Kyle Whittingham's squad holding on to a 21-19 lead with about 7:30 to go.
All right, thank you, Mike. And, of course, to that major implications in the CFP stuff. Tip incomplete on the pass, although, again, I think we'll all have to get used to this year, that unlike recent times, one loss doesn't knock you out.
Well, no, it doesn't knock you out.
That's the difference in a 12-teamer.
But I will tell you this, though. I mean, they're always going to look at what, let's say we're talking about Washington State here. An 11-1 Washington State team is not going to be looked at the same as, let's say, a 10-2 BYU team, unfortunately.
All right, Turner on the run, Keith Brown on the tackle. Okay, Nigel, explain yourself. You Husky. All right, we'll get to Nigel. For those who don't know, Nigel was a terrific player at Washington. He is now a proud Husky dad, so that's why we're a little breathless. And that one is going to be flagged. The original play, the first down pass, Gushigan of Washington State deflected the pass. This one, Tanner Moku in the coverage against Grant Page.
Pass interference, defense, number 32, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
All right, so that'll cost 15 yards for the Cougars. Okay, Nigel.
Hey, look, now listen, fellas.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a Husky. Yes, my son is a Husky. However, as I have made very clear, I root for the Cougs 364 days of the year. There's only one day that I kind of have to listen, and it's only so that I get to eat Thanksgiving and spend Christmas with my family, and I'm not excommunicated. All right, so
now that's diplomatic, Nigel. Well done.
Hey,
I'm proud of you, Nigel. I'm proud of you.
All right, this could be no, not going to be a pass. And running that into Washington State territory is Jack Hestera. Parker McKenna on the Cougar tackle.
Nigel, I want to bring Nigel back in here for a second. What have you seen from Washington State's defense tonight? Because this has been a pretty profound performance for a team that's been very porous through most of the season.
Yeah, Ryan, I think a couple things. First of all, they're tackling a lot better than they have throughout the season. And they've been mixing in. They've been really showing a loaded box. And Utah State's tried to take some shots, and they defended them well. So, and then finally you throw in the takeaways, and it's just been a long night for the Aggie offense.
And Nigel, you were so impressed with Rasul Faison. He is actually no longer has a helmet. He's on the sideline in his uniform, but clearly not going to come back and play. And you were talking, and even Washington State's coaches were saying that's one of the best running backs they were ready to face this year.
Yeah, I had gotten a chance to talk to Coach Dreiling about, what was going on with him, and he said that Faison had a knee issue, and they weren't sure he was going to even be able to go tonight, and it looked like he gave it a go, but wasn't responding the way that he wanted. And then obviously as the game's gotten away from him, they decided, they want to keep them fresh for the rest of the last few games of the season.
Well, nice job there. Now, Nigel Burton, the DB. Talk about young Ethan O'Connor, who's made some big plays for the Cougs on the corner there. He defended that very nicely.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Ted, is I remember when I was coaching defensive backs at Oregon State, and I kept getting things from fans like, why don't the DBs look for the ball? Well, you have to be in phase. If a receiver has you stacked, like O'Connor was stacked there, he was not in great position. That's when you play the hands and you can make a play on the ball. If you look back for the ball, you slow down, and now that receiver will catch it, and everybody will be much more upset. So I thought that was a great play, and there are times as a DB coach, you got to teach guys like, hey, you're not going to look for the ball, play the hands. And now if you're in phase and you've got him pinned to the sideline and you're in good position, yeah, go become the receiver and make a play.
You're exactly right. That's tremendous. That was well technique, well coached. Couldn't get his head around, so he went with the cue of the hands going up and just went right through it to make a big breakup.
First down by about a half a yard on that previous play to Otto Tia. There's an incompletion with a flag. About the only downfield effect that Utah State's had with throwing the ball's been getting PI calls.
Holding,
a couple of them, yeah.
Offense. Number 56, 10-yard penalty. First down.
I've been really impressed with Washington State's defense so far in this football game. I think they took that week off. They worked on some fundamentals, tackling, especially in space. And then I think Coach Schmedding, brought a little more pressure than I've seen him do a lot of, and it's been kind of sneaky pressure where it's maybe been a fifth guy rather than bringing a full blitz with 6 or 7. He brings the fifth guy, puts him in a position to have to block all 5 guys up front, and they've made things difficult for Petrus to really be able to feel comfortable back there.
Right, trying to run Turner, and look at that. Turner gets a nice gain and running through attempted tackles, and on 1st and 20 he gets almost all of it.
Yeah, if you're going to lose Rasul Faison, you go to this freshman and Herschel Turner Jr., and he's just, wow, that's a great move. It's one of the best tacklers for Washington State to grab a bunch of air as he was trying to make the tackle. And when you get a huge deficit there on 1st down, to get 18 of them back, that's a big deal.
See, just as what always happens, we talk about how great the tackling's been, and then they miss 3 tackles. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut down here.
Well, 2nd and 2, and Turner goes out of the backfield, and Petrus hits him, and Turner hangs on. Nice job for a 1st down, just inside the 15.
Well, that was another one of those tackles there. This is the up cam. I don't know if you're going to catch this, but the corner comes off the edge, and he misses him completely. He goes straight to man-to-man coverage, and Herschel Turner beats him at the line of scrimmage. It's a better throw. He walks in for a touchdown.
Well, you see the numbers for the freshman. This is what Utah State, with their season, is Petrus will go down 2-6 coming off their bye week, and it's the obvious thing, to Nate Dreiling is, how do you approach November? What do you try to keep your team into it and keep them engaged? And one of them has traditionally been how give a young guy like Turner a chance. Now, of course, the flip side is if Turner shows, other people are watching.
Yeah. The dark underbelly of college football now.
Oh, and there's a good takedown and sack by unsung hero, Nate. Jake Dickert, last time we were here, was talking about, I said, best MVP on defense. He said number 60. That's the guy.
He's just powerful. Yep. And I've watched him all year, and I made him my impact player. I just thought him getting to the quarterback tonight, it was a good opportunity. David Gusta.
That unsung interior lineman, he said he takes up 2 blockers.
6'3", 300 pounds, and just wears number 6 and 0, which makes him look 400 pounds, and he just gets after it.
All right, 3rd and long here for the Aggies. With a swing to Turner, let him run, and that'll give Utah State 4th down, looks like about 8. They get a 1st down at the 4.
Cyrus Webster come from behind there and just clipped his ankle enough to get him down. 4th down, just inside 9 minutes to go. This is what Jake Dicker wants to see. He wants to see a physical, bowed-up defense right here to make a stop and give his offense the ball back.
All right, pressure coming. Petrus gets rid of it, and that's going to be a touchdown. Kyrese White with the last lunge gets in. And so Utah State beat the pressure. Passed over it to Kyrese White for the touchdown.
Gushikin just gets beat. Great job of putting his foot in the ground and not losing any speed coming back out of it. Little pivot route is what we used to call it. And it's just perfectly executed. Ball crosses the plane before his shin slides across the turf, and another touchdown, just like Jake Dicker talked about. This team's capable of explosive plays to come back. Would have been huge for a stop there. Instead, Utah State once again shows the fight that they have in them still this season.
And the extra point is kicked through by Cregan. So a 70-yard Utah State drive. The 13th play was a 4th down and a touchdown to Kyrese White. Cheer on your favorite team in style, then snap the QR code. Score big on team swag and tailgate essentials. Shop now. Happy night. Pullman. Just a little dampness here in the last 15 minutes, but nothing terribly affecting play. And the Washington State offense that has averaged 50 points a game on this field. Going to be, they still have a chance to get there. 42 tonight. And let's see the onside kick coming. Look at that tap. Wow. Utah State came close. And there'll be a batting flag, I assume, again, will be the flag there.
Or a kick out of bounds.
The kick did go out of bounds. Yeah. I don't know if they called that a bat or not.
I love these kickers that can get it right, where that ball takes that huge bounce. He almost gets it. Yeah. Great job. If he would just been in, he wasn't able to jump, actually. It was just kind of a reach because he mistimed his leap, and instead it kind of tips off his fingers and rolls out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team. 5 yards will be added to the end of the play. First down.
All right, so there we go. John Mateer.
I don't know why he's in the game, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm the one that feels a little foolish, because when I spoke with him here in mid-August and I was asking him about taking care of himself, being a guy that was, last year used basically as a runner, right? Knowing how good he was at that, saying, QB1, you need to be on the field. And that's when he talked about, they're working with me on the slide mat and all that stuff. Like,
if you're going to put him in here, do what you're supposed to here, and you got to press no safety help at the bottom of the screen. Throw a touchdown.
It's going to be the handoff to Kyle Williams, and he runs. But I keep saying, just to finish, Ryan, that here we are in November, and John Mateer has, let's see how many runs he has. He's over 100. He has 105 runs this year. So just think of how many hits he's taken. 23 sacks, and he's fine. He looks fine.
And hey, this is from a pragmatist in the booth right now, right? When I was playing, too, you weren't taking me out of the football game.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, and Jake Dicker likes that, the leadership quality of his quarterback. He is the leader of this team. He's the one that makes it run. But Jake Dicker's also a good head coach. He understands what the next 3 games mean to this university.
There he goes again. Well, it's also, I think, actions speak louder than anything, Ryan. And the fact that you talked about John Mateer's in the game, and doing that indicates Jake Dicker's taking nothing for granted.
No,
he understands what the stakes are here this month for this, especially for this program.
I'm going to tell you something, too, folks, right? 11 wins is the most wins ever in a regular season, or in a season for Washington State, led by Gardner Minshew with the win over Iowa State in the Alamo Bowl. They have a chance. Right now, with the way things are set up, they have a real chance, depending on where they go in a bowl game. Now, I would take them being 11-2 if it's against the likes of Georgia or somebody in the first round of the playoff.
All right, there's a trip up as Schlenbaker runs. All right, Nigel, how are you?
Fellas, I'm going to be honest with you. There's not a head coach alive that would ever admit this. But the reality is, for the Cougs to move up from 21 and have a realistic chance of entering the CFP realistic conversation, they're going to need some style points. And so 49-21, 56-21 looks a lot better than 42-21 or 41 or 42-28 if they start pulling a bunch of guys, especially given all the chaos that happened today in college football.
I think you're right about the first point, Nigel.
Yeah, no,
nobody would admit it. And it's, remember.
I would argue there are probably some head coaches that would admit that now. I do. I think there's been a shift in their thinking. They understand what it's about. And we're going to be honest, right? You go and have that conversation with another coach when you walk across the field and shake their hand and go, hey, nothing personal.
Nothing, yeah.
And guess what? I called a game last week between Oregon and Michigan, and I saw Dan Lanning walk across the field and shake the hand of Sharon Moore and tell him that exact thing. We have to. We're doing what we're supposed to here. And
Mateer doing a good job of letting the play clock run down before snapping. And handing it inside to Schlenbaker. He got popped right away by Bo Miley.
I feel like that could be an adjective at some point, a Schlenbaker.
Well, we had a Utah State man down, but after a minute, Siola Lolohea pops up. Well, I'm going to go back and stand on my thing. I don't like the style points.
We did get some news earlier. We did get some news earlier that Wayshawn Parker has actually left the sideline and gone into the locker room. Not sure, but looked like the trainers are looking at his ankles. So as this game does wind down, injury and how they will affect the rest of the season are going to come into play.
Amen. Yeah, we did not know that. Good call, Nigel. Wayshawn Parker, 149 on the ground tonight, including the 75-yard touchdown run on the first play of the second half. We get a jump here, so they stopped it.
Offside with contact. Defense, number 10. 5-yard penalty. Yardage results in a first down.
Yeah. So the contact negates what could have been a free play.
So in the world of what Washington State may need, right? BYU has a chance. There's about a minute and a half left, but they got to go the length of the field to try to kick a field goal. But Georgia lost today. That gives them a second loss. I know it's an SEC team with a second loss. And then you have Iowa State now, 2 consecutive weeks with losses. And BYU being in the position that they're in. Miami also got beat for the first time today, too. So all those, have to play in favor of Washington State.
Yeah.
It's just that I've sat in that committee room. Okay, I've gone through the mock college football playoff committee, and no matter what anybody thinks, there is a very, palpable understanding how one way it can go. And if you have 2 or 3 SEC teams sitting there at 10-2 versus an 11-1 Washington State team, they're not going to look at a team out of conference that can be a part of that. Nigel?
Yeah, I think the reality, fellas, is this. You want to have as many SEC teams with 3 losses. I think Ryan, you and I spoke last night at dinner that an SEC team with 2 losses is still going to look pretty good to the committee versus a Washington State team with 1. Now, an SEC team with 3 losses, I think, is a different conversation.
It depends on probably what the team is. If it's Alabama.
Well, I'll tell you, I continue to stand by. Alabama with 4 losses will get in. They'll just, they will. I mean, it's absurd what has happened. And just ask. I mean, I have no sympathy for Florida State except last year they absolutely got shorted. That's absurd what happened to Florida State last year.
They probably shouldn't get in this year with 1 win, but if they were, it would be a miracle. I'm with you, Nigel. I get it. Alabama destroyed LSU today in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, so games
13.
Yeah, so games like that really help because not only was it a loss in their third loss, but it was a major loss at home. And so now those conversations start to change. And
I would argue LSU's out of that conversation.
Yeah, and now you start to look at, okay, now Miami loses. Well, if SMU loses, and now a second, does a second ACC team get in? Probably not. So as all these dominoes start to fall, it starts to kind of work into your favor. Now, Michigan could have done Wazoo a huge favor today, but they couldn't find a way to punch it in at the end against Indiana, who could find themselves with one loss or no losses, or they could find themselves one loss and not playing for the Big Ten championship, and that would help them a ton and really hurt Wazoo. So there's a lot of football in as
we'll get down to the 2-minute timeout here. By the way, the Cougars are doing a great job of running out as much of this clock as they can.
Yeah, the whole process we're trying to make a point is they're doing really well.
You guys are going to be rooting like heck for USC, and you never thought that would happen on Thanksgiving weekend when USC plays Notre Dame, because that's the other wild card team. And if Notre Dame doesn't beat USC, that Northern Illinois loss may knock them out, and that opens up a spot. All right. That's a heck of a lot of what-ifs. All right, we'll open the phone lines and take your calls when we come back on the other side. Our player of the game is brought to you by Progressive, Keys to Progress program, providing vehicles to deserving veterans, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keys2progress.com. Ryan.
Kyle Williams. He is who needed to be targeted. John Materis, great quarterback, found him 3 times tonight with his 5 receptions, along with 3 carries to go with that. He's needed to touch the ball anywhere between 10 and 15 times a game, I suspect, and Ben Arbuckle certainly started getting him involved. That first touchdown, of course, was all on him. Probably should have been tackled in the backfield for a loss. Instead, he breaks the tackle, gets into the end zone, and sets a career high today with 3 touchdown grabs. Kyle Williams is your player of the game.
All right, so here we go in the final 2 minutes. The Cougars, again, have done a marvelous job on this drive of just milking much of the remaining time, and now they're hoping to punch one more in on 3rd down. Schlenbaker, the running back, and he won't get there. Utah State swarms him. Well, there'd be points with a field goal here, but no style. So on 4th down, Cougars will leave their offense out.
Schlenbaker hobbling after hearing Nigel talk about Wayshawn. You can't afford 3 big games, 2 on the road for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Got to be as healthy as possible back there at that running back position.
And he's just back. He had been nicked up a little bit. 7 rushes on this drive for Schlenbaker, and here's the 4th down play. Whoops, that's a free play. Mateer can take it. And Mateer will get outside, but not able to turn, but the Cougars will get a redo on that offside.
John Mateer carried it, flag on the play.
Great job of using his voice or the clap to get them to jump off sides. I would have liked to have seen him to throw one into the end zone there. It's a free play.
Yeah.
Don't put your body in harm's way there. You're not going to get into the end zone your way. Throw it over the top, even hand grenade it if you had to. Just loop it up there and give your guy a chance, and free play and all.
All right, so they'll eventually we'll make a decision here. Spot the ball.
Offside, defense in the neutral zone at the snap, half the distance to the goal, 4th down.
So the redo will come from the 3-yard line, and there's actually a 1st down available just over a yard. So
that may change. Yeah, that may change the play call here. Definitely, right around that 4th and 2, kind of a hamstrung distance for the Cougars so far this year. Get your best player on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Make it a 2-way go, I think, is the best way. Pick up either a 1st down or get them in the end zone.
It's really just a yard here. Kyle Williams motions. Mathers is lined up as a fullback. And Mateer's going to boot, but there's a man there. He throws for the touchdown to Cooper Mathers. Now, what a Story has developed there. Cooper Mathers, a wide receiver in high school, worked for his dad at his dad's restaurant in the Pike Place Market, the famed Pike Place Market in Seattle. And you can see the old wide receiver skills. That's the 6th touchdown he's caught this year.
He does have that wide receiver skill set. Watch this throw. This is that sidearm throw that you have to have there. You don't want to take anything away from him there. What a great throw. What a great catch. Had some mustard on it, too, and he brings it down. And there you get Nigel. You get some style points, 49.
Now look at that number, the biggest number there, 7 minutes and 31 seconds. That is textbook for a good team to close out most of the remaining time. And Cooper Mathers become a touchdown guy. Hey, next week, CW Football Saturday, featuring a classic intersectional college football rivalry. Syracuse heads to Berkeley to play Cal. Syracuse and Cal, 3 p.m. East, 12 p.m. Pacific. It's next Saturday only on the CW. As we welcome you to CW Football Sunday for most of you. And an impressive night for Washington State. It's the into Sunday again in much of the country, and thoughts turn to pro football, but Washington State is hopeful this score will resonate and continue to build their case as best they can. Right now, the only, again, Cougar loss at Boise State, and it is also worth reminding many that probably aren't aware that in this year of a scheduling alliance for Washington State and Oregon State, scheduling games against Mountain West teams, not in the conference, but scheduled against the teams, that both Washington State and Oregon State play at Boise State. Just a remarkable coincidence.
Oregon State finishes the year there against Boise State. Washington State has a chance to get to 8-1. They have not been 8-1 many times in their career.
No, they haven't. You know that. Your year.
Yeah, it was
your year. 1997 was one.
One of those years. I know a few others, but you know, I was talking to an alumnus friend of mine before the game, showing him what we were doing up here, and he looked at me and he said, "Remember when we had lunch in July?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You said the Cougs were going to go 11-1," and I told my dad and I told my friends, and no one believed me. And I said, that's the point. And the fans here need to understand that too. I know the fan base here used to come to games in the Pac-12 conference to watch the elite teams, to watch the highly ranked teams and see your team be the underdog and knock somebody up. But guess what, folks? You're no longer the underdog.
Oh, look at this, and that's going to be a huge run by Derek Jamison, and he's going to take it to the house. How about that?
That's meaningful for a lot of people, I think.
Derek Jamison goes 72 yards on his first carry at Utah State. Sophomore from Maple Grove, Minnesota. That is from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Twin Cities area. Junior college last year. And welcome to the big time, big boy.
What a run.
It's just a nice, you feel good because it's obviously a lost night in what's been mostly a lost year for Utah State, but that's a smile right there. Young guy gets his first touch.
I'm trying to go into an absolute, you know, diatribe on Cougar fan bases. What they didn't learn in the defense just lets them splice them right down the middle, and that's what you get throwing in some backup guys late in the game, and Jake Dickert's going to have just enough of that incentive.
Amen.
This week with the film to make sure that that New Mexico trip doesn't sneak up on anybody.
Amen. And it really, you can see the arms crossing, and you can imagine what Dickert is thinking. As you have an offense execute a perfect drive, 7.5 minutes for style points, and then you give it back on one play.
Yeah, and you know, there's some stats that I made sure to highlight here. Now you look at the defense for Washington State, the points per game, 26.9, right? That sits right in their average, but that sits 85th in the country. Total yards, all of those things that exhibit.
Well, Ryan, to your point, the last 3 games for the Cougs, they had only allowed 17.7 a game. It was trending better. And what's happened now, once this game was comfortable for Washington State, Utah State has scored its last 3 drives, and that skews the numbers.
It skews the numbers, and it gives you a little bad taste in your mouth if you're Jake Dickert and the staff, which, hey, like I said, the best thing for a coaching staff is to win the football game really well and to have some things to be able to correct going into the next week. So it can't just be everybody so hyped on one another.
All right, so this kick should be deep. We'll take a knee, and Washington State should take a knee here to end the game. Mike Yam, what's up?
Oh, Ted, you guys have been talking about some chaos. We thought we'd get a little bit more. Utah was on top 21-19 against BYU with 4 seconds on the clock. How about the Cougars? Will Ferrin from 44. They go on to win 22-21. And yes, Kalani Sitake's squad still unbeaten, so we'll probably still sit in that top 10.
They're going to move up in that top 10.
Yes, they will. And for, again, folks around the country that may not be aware, I'm not sure how many rivalries have more emotion than BYU-Utah. That is...
They have the greatest uniform combos with the all red, all blue.
And, I mean, it is... I've been around a few of those in a couple of sports, man. It is, it's rough. Anyway, this is not rough for Jake Dickert, playing as a ranked team, Washington State, and it's been a while. First time as a ranked team since December of 2018. And they answer the bell with the offensive performance. First 3 possessions of the game, touchdown drives down the field. John Mateer engineers 4 touchdown passes tonight, runs for 1 himself. And Utah State did show its offense in the 4th quarter when the game was comfortable for the Cougars. That makes the score look better for Utah State. And look at that.
Yeah, that's
nice
to see.
That is nice. It's the same thing we saw in this field when San Jose State was here in the double overtime game with quarterback Emmett Brown, who had played for the Cougars. Look at that. The love the Cougars have for former teammate Lawrence Falatea. I think it speaks a lot about Washington State football, doesn't it?
It does. Jake Dickert, there may be a little bias, of course, in me. I don't know if there's a better person to be leading this football program right now through the process that they're going through. He asked this team to sacrifice, to come back, to be a team together, and they've absolutely done everything that's been put in front of them. Outside of the Boise State game late, they've been better than advertised, and I'm excited to see what the next 3 weeks hold. 2 road games. You and I are going to be on the call for 2 of them. Back here in Pullman for the final week of the season, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and John Mateer has been so special alongside Kyle Williams and the rest of this coaching staff.
No, that's just a great... One of the things that make you like college football is seeing that reaction by the Cougars to a former teammate. Thanks to our entire crew. Our game produced by Will O'Toole, directed by Scott Barker. Our entire crew, both here in Pullman and at HQ. Nigel Burton said, "Go Cougs." Don't forget that, folks. With Nigel and Ryan, I'm Ted. Thanks for joining us from Pullman. And let's send it one more time to Mike Yam.